Jersey to really like, you know, have your own place, have your independence, have a car.
I'm taking also business classes, and one of the teachers was telling us if you could afford to live in New Jersey, Connecticut, and California, you could afford almost anywhere in the United States.
Pretty much, because they're like the most expensive places to live.
Yeah.
Alaska's pretty expensive. I have a friend who's living out there right now.
I have a friend who used to live up there. Now he's in California. Or no, he's in Seattle now. I guess the place to be is North Carolina because it's basically everything Jersey, but everything's southern now.
Yeah. I feel like you turned on the mics like 5 minutes too late because we were having a pretty interesting conversation about backyard wrestling.
No, I had the mics on for that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, cool. That was good material, not to waste.
Like, I can't... Like, I just... Like, I start drinking and I just get going on a tangent. Like, you can't, like, control this.
So is this going to be the censored version then, since Pat's here?
I mean, there's no way you're going to put a filter on this voice. It's not going to happen.
Well, you know, after I retire from the EWE in June, they need a new voice.
The voice of
I think I'm a little overqualified for that. Don't you think? Just a tad bit overqualified.
I can see you be an announcer. You make a good... No, not announcer. Color commentary.
I would do color commentary, but I would want to do it for a legitimate promotion.
I saw Adam's Facebook poster about my guy Corey Graves. He's like, yeah, the only guy who's actually trying to make E. Marie look good.
I think everyone's trying. It's just...
Yeah, that guy should be on the main roster if they're not going to get Jim Ross back.
Well, they just fired someone who was a commentator.
They fired two of them.
Wasn't he the guy that was doing the New Japan announcing? The one guy they fired?
I know
Rich Brennan?
Yeah, they hired him because he was announcing for New Japan, and he was a pretty good announcer.
They also got that guy Mario, I forgot his name, Rubio Mario, something like that.
One of them came from doing New Japan. I forget which one.
They say he got like an old school type of vibe towards him. Adam hate him.
So does Rick.
Well, I mean,
Michael Cole.
We would watch the pay-per-views, and like our jokes and commentary would be better than the commentary on the pay-per-views. Like their announcing team, like they just don't get you interested in the matches.
It's sad that Michael Cole is considered one of the worst, color commentary. But as a news announcer, he's actually pretty good. Like he did a thing when he was over Iraq, doing his usual thing, and it happened where a bomb flew down, the explosion, and he went to CNN mode. Like, we need to cover this. We need to get to the thing. Like, damn.
Like if he was a news reporter, he'd be good, but as a wrestling commentator, he kind of falls flat.
Yeah.
He's actually a war reporter.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Is that where he came
Michael
from?
Cole.
Is that his background?
That was his
Can
background.
you hear me?
Yeah.
Are we live?
Yeah.
Oh, it says we'll be live.
We're just kind of like casually bullshitting.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it had to be like
Real
Like
close.
right
to
here.
be like that close.
Don't lick the microphone.
It's gonna make me feel bad because I'm gonna feel like I'm screaming into this.
As long as you don't pop this man's ears right here.
Hey, Cortana, ask me anything. Cortana, why do you suck so much?
What is that? Google's answer to Siri?
I just saw in the bottom left corner of the screen.
I think I saw it on my phone or something. No, I think I just upgraded to Windows 10 and it had that Cortana thing, and I'm like, whatever, I don't give a shit.
You mean voice of Princess Stool?
Fuck if I know. Like,
The Cortana in Halo is the
I'm
voice
technically
of,
savvy enough to like not set my computer to self-destruct mode, and that's about it.
That's more than most people.
Like, I'm technically savvy enough to not light things ablaze.
I think that's a lie.
Well, I almost set myself on fire with fireworks at the one New Year's Eve party here.
Oh yeah, with my fireworks. Oh, I do flip it around.
It's like you're about to shoot yourself in the dick. Like, flip it.
Well, at least you didn't make like Brandon and try to burn down the entire neighborhood.
He chuck it with his hand. I'm like, okay.
Like, I love telling people, like, my first experience with you. Because, like, the first, like, real experience with you was...
I was not gentle at all. I went with no lube whatsoever.
Was
Well,
it rough
yeah.
for you, man?
Yeah, anyway, like, the first time I really, like, hung out with you, it was at one of your WrestleMania parties. And that was when I broke my foot on your trampoline.
No idea what you're talking about.
And
I just
And
about
you mean-
everything.
You mean Justin's trampoline now?
Yeah, like
Oh, this is true.
I told you about it. You told Mark about it, and Mark called me up like, hey man, I heard what happened. Are you okay? Like, how are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I just broke my foot a little bit. Hey, thanks a lot for calling. Like, it's really nice to know that you're concerned and you care. Actually, Pat, I'm just calling you because I want to make sure you don't sue me. And I love telling that story because it's just funny as hell. Like,
To be fair, my make
and I was just like, dude, I'm not gonna fucking sue you. Click.
to be fair, I always make sure if somebody always get hurt on my property or whatever, I will make sure they're okay. And then when they're cool and they think, then I choke them out for being stupid.
See, I'm a drunken asshole, but like when I sober up, like I pretty much take responsibility for the drunken bullshit I pulled the night before. Like I'm not gonna like fucking do something stupid and then try to like be like, oh, like that wasn't my fault, it was your fault, like whatever.
No,
like
wait,
I'm not
Steve.
gonna do that. Like
What if it's a May?
why? What did?
Is there a story?
Well, what was May? Did May get drunk at one of your house parties?
He didn't get really super drunk, but he left like John Cena won a match. He left like 15 minutes before the end of the pay-per-view. I'm thinking to myself like, dude, I don't mind if you leave early, but at least tell me because I don't know what happened to you.
Yeah, for all you know, he's in your parents' room jerking off.
Let's, again, if something would happen, I'm more concerned with going on.
Was he at least
and then I
wearing
choke him
pants? Because that dude, there are like half a dozen videos on the internet on Facebook of him just like singing in his underwear, like
out. Really?
terrifying.
I'm afraid to look. Now you put that
like they
image in
keep
my
posting
head.
it on Facebook. Like Julie posts shit on Facebook all the time, and it's just him like dancing in his underwear, and I'm like. Like that's like his natural state of being, just drunk in his underwear.
I'm not gonna hate on it, but
He puked on Justin's futon one time.
He,
That was-
he puked on this carpet when we the last time was at Justin's house.
Did you set it on fire?
no, he didn't puke on. He pissed on Justin's.
Well, he
That's
shouldn't.
even worse.
He shouldn't feel bad about it because like there is so much fucked up shit that has happened in May's house. Like it's about time that some fucked up shit happened in someone else's house.
Which one of
But
mine?
usually it's around the same person.
Hey, I've seen that guy.
No, like there's so much shit. Like
Which one of these things is me?
like people fucked in his bed and just stuff like
oh,
that.
it's on there.
Or throw up in the bed, clean up, and then sleep on it.
Stupid
What-
Rachel.
Who did that? That was
Stupid
Rachel.
One is
Yeah, like we have done so many like unsanitary, unsavory things in that household. Like I think we should just let him have one of these times. Like, okay, dude, like you get the puke in my bathroom.
Oh, freebie.
Or piss in
Yeah.
your bed. Justin, do you have an extra pair of pants? I kind of peed in your futon. I made there's a bathroom right there. I was too lazy to get up.
I don't think there's a friend's house I haven't left vomit at. Like if you hang out with me long enough, you will experience Drunken Pat, and Drunken Pat is kind of an asshole, actually.
I'll be honest, if I
I
had
know
more...
I tried to fight one of the twins. I don't know if it
Chased
was
them away.
Gordon.
Oh, the twins. Oh, yeah, I had to fight when the...
What,
when
did we have a subscriber or someone listening?
Someone watched
we
that
had
and
we
JT
had
Chase
one
started
person that
saying,
said hi, and then he left.
Because we're not even talking about... Like we're
Wrestling.
talking
He's
about
still away.
it's not that we're not talking about wrestling. Like we're just kind of talking about things that without context, it's not really that interesting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, puke's awesome.
He's gonna puke.
Go from behind.
He's gonna puke. Puke! Puke! Come on, Joss, do it. Do it. My
Scott is my witness. He had casserole for lunch.
Segueing back to Vince McMahon, I think that guy needs to retire because I think he's really out of it.
He's gonna be like the old senile guy that they're just gonna like be like, oh, that's cute, Vince. They're just gonna pat him on the head whenever he comes up with some like batshit crazy idea.
Because at this point, I don't know how you guys feel about Triple H and Stephanie, but I think they'd probably be in better position once Vince is out of the picture than maybe, Shane and the rest get in there.
If NXT is any indication of Triple H's booking, then I have hope for WWE in the future because NXT, for better or worse, is a wrestling show.
Yes, it is.
Like, they do video packages, they do backstage interviews, but they
Yes.
don't do these crazy, long, drawn out,
Yeah.
like 20-minute segments. Like, they're a wrestling show. Like,
Yeah.
the focus of their show is wrestling matches.
Yep.
So if that's the type of show that Triple H is going to run, then WWE, I have high hopes for them
Yeah,
But Vince
because
doesn't want
NXT is great.
it is. I think Vince is starting to get a little bit jealous too.
Well, Vince still tries to convince himself and everyone else that he's that the WWE is an entertainment company. And like Jim Cornette said, you have wrestlers in wrestling tights and wrestling boots in a wrestling ring. Like, you're wrestling. Like, stop with this nonsense. Like,
The next title match will be a boxing match.
Was it the?
they tried the brawl for all, and that was
Oh yeah,
that was
yeah,
a flop.
That was flop. But it was close to an M&A, early M&A type of thing.
See, if they did that back in the 80s when kayfabe was in full swing, it might have worked. But it was back in the 90s when there was where no one believed wrestling was real because Vince was telling you it wasn't real.
Wrestling's not real.
It's
No one believed it was
damn
real,
it.
and the guys were really beating the shit out of each other in that Brawl for All tournament. And then the one shining thing they had come out of that, Bart Gunn, they fed him the butter bean, and
He got murdered.
He got beat to death.
And that was the end of Bart Gunn's career.
Not
Yeah.
his career. He went back to Japan and worked as Mike Barton, but that was the end of his WWE thing. But I mean, according to Vince, that was the end of his career because Vince desperately wants to believe that he's the only game in town.
Yeah, because you bought the only game in town.
Yeah, but there's a larger wrestling world outside of the WWE.
Oh yeah, New Japan, Mexico,
And the fact that they're
Canada,
finally starting to admit it.
new. What the hell are you
I am
doing, man?
multitasking. What do you got a problem with that?
Hey, if you can jerk off in the corner, that's your problem.
I am playing with the cat with the string. Honestly.
But anyway, the fact that they're finally starting to admit that there's a greater wrestling world outside of the WWE, that also gives me hope for the future.
Yeah.
This Vince is called the internet.
Matt, you mind if I move you over just a hair?
Yeah, sure.
Ah, space.
Why am I getting picked up on other microphones?
No, camera.
Okay.
Oh, there's a camera on us.
Hi. I'm drinking.
Good thing I didn't pick my nose.
It's splitting your face in half on my monitor, so I'm like, yeah. Let's
Oh, you
move
got that
a
split
little bit.
camera.
And I'm
Cool.
being very talkative right now.
No, that's good. Good. We gotta keep the conversation
But
going.
where was I going with this? They would have all these amazing indie talents, and they would just treat them like trash because it's oh, they never worked the WWE. They haven't been anywhere because they didn't work for us. And meanwhile, these guys would have 10 years of experience. Daniel Bryan said it really good in his documentary when he was talking about Michael Cole talking about him working in front of 50 guys at a rec center, and he was yeah, but I also worked in front of 20,000 in the Korakuen Hall in Japan. These top level indie guys, they've worked in front of many different crowds, and being able to do that, you have to be versatile because in every region, every style is slightly different.
Yeah.
Mexico is a little more showy and
Right.
flashy, more showmanship. Japan is stiffer and harder, and
Strong style.
in England, it's very technical and a slower pace. It's a lot of mat wrestling. So these different regions all have different styles, and if you can work in all these different regions the top indie guys do, then you can certainly learn how to work WWE style or any other style. These guys are very versatile, and Vince will never admit it.
How do we define as WWE style exactly?
Clowns.
Sports entertainment.
That's a good question because what is their style? They just kind of ape whatever's
Well,
popular.
If you want to go with sports entertainment, New Day is probably the best example. That's sports entertainment, and they're still good technical wrestlers. I still like their gimmick. I like the stuff. I mean, you gotta respect
their
anybody who
gimmick
come
was
out-
bullshit.
They come out of a box of Bootio cereal.
Yeah, that was
in-
amazing.
In Super Saiyan armor from the Dragon Ball Z. Even Michael Cole was like, "Hey, Xavier Woods, he's dressed up like Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z." How you know that?
Well, they're getting a lot more referencey, like they're actually acknowledging things for once. But like their gimmick was ridiculous until they let them start being themselves.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. Like the way wrestling used to work in the 80s is like you would take a talent, you would give him bullet points, and it would be his job to tell the story and just work off the bullet points and tell it through his voice. Like they have this like whole writing concept now where like people write wrestling like it's a fucking movie or a TV show, and like wrestlers aren't trained actors. Like they're not trained to memorize dialogue. Like they're trained to just improvise.
I think that's the point.
So like they're trying to get these guys to memorize all this dialogue, and they're just kind of like they're kind of just saying it in like the Stepford Wives voice, just like trying to remember the shit you told them instead of just here's the bullet points, like tell it in your own voice.
Well, to be fair, I like the WWE when they try sports entertainment, when they try and train these guys to be, I guess, more actors and less athletes, but you know they try to do like a mix of balance, because I posted on Alan's Facebook WWE for life, just a little plug right there, and I'm like, oh, Supergirl, I haven't seen this show in a while, I need to catch up. Wait a minute, that's Eve Torres as Maxima? Holy shit, that's badass. All right, you got Edge as Alan Smasher there. You got freaking Eve Torres Maximum, like, and now you got Batista as was it the guy from Guardians of the Galaxy? I forgot his name.
Drax the Destroyer.
I'm like, yeah, the transition from wrestler to actor with The Rock and everything. I'm like, hell yeah.
I mean, there is something about wrestling that could prepare you for acting, but like you can't really expect a wrestler to like memorize dialogue like an actor. There's not a whole lot of subtlety in wrestling. Like there's a lot of like big gestures and movements, because like you have to kind of convey to the entire crowd what emotion you're trying to portray. So like wrestlers do have that they're good at, like pantomime and just like big gestures, but a lot of the subtlety that comes with acting, like wrestlers don't really have.
That's true.
Plus, it doesn't come from the heart. If it comes from a script. Just want to add that little tidbit.
Again, the quote Jim Cornette: "If you can't believe my sport, you definitely believe in me."
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've spoken just about this whole entire thing.
Who are you?
Like we never really had like a proper intro. It's just been me and Steve
actually.
bullshitting.
Yeah, we'll just gotta do this.
Just 30 minutes of talking.
I mean,
All
I
right.
guess it was that good. Like,
I was still saying nothing. You guys were going, and I'm like, hey, it's technically on topic of pro wrestling. I'm just gonna let you guys keep going.
You want to do a quick intro of us, real
Yeah,
quick?
let's do a quick intro. So, hey guys, I'm JT here. I am Video Geek JT of Twitch, and this is the Wrestling Podcast 20XX. With me today is, I'll let them introduce themselves, just in case they want to say their own names. So, go with you, sir.
Oh, they got to start with me.
Camera pointing.
I guess I'll go with Stephen B right now. I'm a friend of the groups. I've been watching wrestling since I was young, but probably the Attitude area where I got really into it fell off a little bit. Then I came back on it because now I found a group of people who could share my interests.
I'll go by Adam C. I've been a wrestling fan since 1992. Diehard fan and still am.
I'll just go by Patrick, and I'm a drunken asshole, and that's about it.
I am Marcus Aurelius. Ruler of Omicron Persiae. Continue.
Doesn't even get a camera. I'm sorry, I ran out of cameras.
I'm Marcus.
There you go.
You should wear a mask, so this way you're like, who is this guy?
I'll just take a picture on Facebook and I'm gonna insert it there.
And move his lips and his mouth so he's talking.
Kind of late already there.
Oh wow. Alright. So what were we talking about?
What's the worst that can happen?
I think we were talking about how
I think we were just kind of
sports
randomly
entertainment
chaining-
versus wrestling, stuff like that.
I hate the term sports entertainment, and I'll tell you why. One of the major problems I find with the term sports entertainment is that just by calling it that, you're kind of leaning on the fourth wall a little bit. Like you're already saying, "Oh, this isn't real. Like this is all staged." Like you need to just call it wrestling because it makes it easier to suspend that disbelief. Like I hate the term sports entertainment. Like it's kind of true because it's not really a sport. Like it's kind of both sports and entertainment. But like I just feel like it's harder to suspend disbelief when they're opening the show pretty much saying this is not real. Because like how many other mediums does that? Like TV shows don't do that, movies don't do that, unless you have like a niche character like Deadpool or Ambush Bug, where their whole gimmick is that they kind of break the fourth wall. But like most other types of entertainment have that sturdy fourth wall between the audience and the camera, and I feel like you're already kind of leaning on it by calling it sports entertainment.
Well, I guess in the defense of WWE, if you're just a casual fan, you just watch the byproduct. If you're a hardcore fan, you know who the wrestler are, is the background, and even go as far as like what they do on their daily lives with their ticks and all the stuff in the background, how politics work on that kind of stuff. Like any fandom, you're casual, you're hardcore, and how deep you want to go down the rabbit hole for that.
But WWE only caters to a certain type of fan.
I don't think that's true. Like, at the end of the day, they're a wrestling company, whether they admit it or not. And, like, most wrestling fans at least occasionally watch WWE from time to time, even if they're more into stuff like, say, Ring of Honor or Pro Wrestling Guerrilla or New Japan. Like, they still know what's going on in the WWE.
You think they were ashamed of the name wrestling?
Well, they're not ashamed of the name wrestling. The thing is, if Vince McMahon calls it pro wrestling, he has to actually abide by the rules of the sports commission for each state.
Insurance.
This is his workaround saying, no, they're not athletes. They're entertainers. They're just entertaining. It's like a dance.
But I think he's told that lie so many times that he started to believe it.
I think there might be a bit of a gray area because I know in Mexico Mexico they treat it as a sport, and I think those guys are athletes.
Same with Japan.
It's Japan. Plus the fact that ESPN started broadcasting with ever since Jonathan Coachman now started doing them like the highlights for SportsCenter.
Well, they used to show AWA on ESPN.
Yeah, back in the day, yeah.
Even recently, they used to show old episodes of AWA wrestling.
Now they're on a network.
So you could technically get away with they're actors, but they're also sports things. So yeah, we need insurance for these guys.
At this point, they are sports entertainment so much, you might as well just leave it that way.
I don't know. It's just a bullshit catch-all term. Like I prefer my wrestling to be wrestling. Like that's why I like referring to it as, because it's wrestling. Like there's no other way to really explain it.
Well, another point, of course, WWE. Remember when Vince McMahon had the XFL type of thing, and his whole idea was like it's like a sport, but it's also treated like entertainment. And the thing with it, cause like they try to cut all the BS in like in a regular sports game. Is like average.
But they added a lot of BS. Like they started adding storylines to it.
Yeah, storyline. But basically,
like they tried to add like feuds between like commentators and stuff. And
they gave it more personality. Basically, what I'm trying to say is sports have become more like WWE, and like say NXT has become more like wrestling.
Well, MMA is kind of using a pro wrestling style of promotion where they just have these guys like trash talk each other, and that makes people want to watch them beat the hell out of each other.
McGregor.
Because like
Ronda Rousey.
Like if
Didn't
it's
he
too
quit?
Who?
No, he said he was going to quit, then he came back. Yeah, the quick segue. Conor McGregor. One of the complaints about the guy is he's a good talker. He get butts in the seat, but he's getting a little bit too much control. And like I think it was the last guy he fought, Nate Diaz. He's like, this is bullshit. I'm a better fighter than that.
I saw that Nate Diaz fight. Like Nate Diaz, like he fucked him up.
Yeah, I think he tagged him a couple times and he choked him.
Well,
out.
he choked him out like good.
But the problem is, like, dude, yeah, you're a good fighter, Nate Diaz, but I don't want to watch you because you're like an asshole. At least with Conor McGregor, he's an asshole. He's kind of likable.
Well, here's the thing. The thing happening with the MMA is like the same thing that wrestling, how wrestling is supposed to be. The fact that the guys that are getting the opportunities are the guys that are going out there and like talking trash and like have a air of flamboyancy to them, where like you want to see them either like win or lose, like, and that's the same way wrestling is supposed to be. Like, you're supposed to have characters, and that's all the people who are getting opportunities in the UFC are guys who just like have a flamboyancy to them, or just like a character to them that like makes you want to see them fight, whether it be win or lose.
Well, back in the good old days, it used to be whoever won the most matches got the title matches, but unfortunately it did not equal ratings.
But even
now
if you see what's happening with CM Punk, like he got like a big fight deal because it's going to bring more eyes to the UFC
And he
product.
still hasn't had his fight yet.
No.
And he may never, like, he got back surgery. That's why he hasn't had
I
it.
think that was kind of BS, because you should know your own body. Like, it's like me driving a car and I just noticed that, oh, and the wheel fell off. Like, you've been driving the car for like so long, you should know something's like wrong with it.
Some might
Supposedly-
also argue that he's trying to fake it.
He's
Or to
supposedly
extend
getting his
paycheck.
fight in July.
The UFC 200, I think it is.
Yeah.
So that'll make it, what, a year and a half extension?
I don't-
Or 6 months? What?
You-
From the original fight date, I mean.
Oh yeah, a year. It's been like almost a year, 2 years.
I mean, you
yeah.
gotta figure they have to pay him extra.
I mean, if they happen, I'm gonna see it anyway. I'm gonna pay money for it. But I don't think the man's gonna survive.
Well, I think they only care about that one big buy rate for
Okay.
his first fight.
Yeah, I'm gonna interrupt real quick because we have one of our first chatters here, and let's see, what are they called? Sheep diddler.
Shoot, damn.
This isn't sheep. Don't talk trash. Talk sheep.
What the fuck is that?
Oh, I get it. He wants us to talk like Roman Reigns. Bah. Bah, bah, bah. bah. WWE champion.
Fucking troll, man.
How about you just bury him on the chat?
Because I don't need to. Like, what he said, he just buried himself. Like, it's the easiest job I've ever had. Like,
I finished
now I
digging
know
the
how
grave,
PewDiePie
sir. Can I
must
lay
feel.
down in it now? Yes, you may.
I know how PewDiePie feel when he get like dumb people in this thing. But speaking of Roman Reigns, the guy is a great athlete. He come from a great wrestling family, but the guy just got no fucking personality. I'm like, dude, just flip off the crowd. And that's from Vince Russo.
I think he's starting to get it. Like, he's doing that whole "I'm not the good guy, I'm not the bad
not
guy,
Raven,
I'm the guy."
You have no flock.
He gets like so much fucking. You get so much fucking heat from that. Like, it's great.
If I would say like I'm gonna place myself in AJ Styles, I would just talk shit to him, but like in a way like, yeah, you kind of sucks. You're not a great wrestler. You know, you're like you're not a great talker. The only reason you're here because you suck at football.
Well, that kind of straddles the line of AJ Styles being a heel. Like, I don't know where exactly they're going with this AJ Styles Roman Reigns storyline. Like, it feels like they might be planning on turning Roman Reigns heel with this.
I wish.
Or they
say
might even be
want-
trying to turn AJ Styles heel. I'm not sure where they're trying to go.
So there is a third option.
Here's what they're doing. They're forming the Bullet Club
Mm-hmm.
to very quickly try to strengthen Roman Reigns as the good guy, and they're going to feed him tomorrow to Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Feed me
and
more.
then they're going to be around just like sort of how the nation of wherever the hell they
League
were
of
called,
Nations.
League of Nations, because
was
they
Yeah.
broke up. I saw
Yeah.
that.
There-
If it was a good storyline, if I may interject, the way I would have done it is they just took the belt off of Finn Balor, and he's the original leader and founder of that club. AJ came in later on. I would set it up so that that would be his debut. You think that these guys are with AJ, but they
But they're
turn
with-
their back on AJ because they don't like AJ.
There is a rumor that might happen.
Or because AJ tries to play the Boy Scout role too much, and he's not really getting in line what they're trying to do.
So I would think that'd be the better storyline. But it's WWE, so they're gonna fuck it up.
You could see the Balor clubs form tomorrow.
I just don't see it. I think they're gonna make what we see is gonna happen. I think they're just gonna go that direction. Because why wouldn't they?
I thought that they could at least keep the belt, the NXT title on Finn Balor a little bit longer, because he seemed like he's that championship is made for that for him for that NXT. But now, and I can see Samoa Joe eventually go up in the main roster, but I just don't see anybody, because most of all the good guys like Apollo Crews and Baron Corbin are in the main roster. Who's he gonna wrestle?
Yeah, but like pretty much them taking the belt off of Balor, that pretty much means they're ready to call him up, because anytime they take like a belt off someone in NXT, like that means like they're pulling them to the main roster.
I think it is rare to see. I think they haven't done it. Two-time NXT.
They haven't done any two-time champions, because they pretty much run with the guys. They pretty much run the guys with the belt for a while, and then once they feel they're ready to come up to the main roster, they take the belts off of them.
I think they need a mainstay, like a guy who could be like in between.
But that kind of defeats the purpose of NXT. It's ultimately a farm league. Like, you can't really have a guy. You're not really gonna like have a guy in the main role and leave him there. Like, as soon as you feel like he's ready to go up to the next level, you're gonna pull him up.
The way I would do it, I would do like college basketball, like Tim Duncan of the San Antonio. He stayed in college. Most guys would be done in like 2 years. He stayed in college for 4 years. So it's like, yeah, I'm the top guy for now, but I'm ready. I'm moving on to the next level. I would do that.
I mean, they're constantly calling talent from the indies now. Like, they have a working relationship with Evolve. So they're constantly bringing talent in from the independents. Like, they're just constantly like moving guys in and out with that.
Sorry.
Okay, that was pretty good.
What?
While you guys are talking, I'm bullshitting with this guy in the chat.
Sheep Dickler.
Yeah. If I can jump in real quick, talking about the indie guys, the episode of NXT where Eric Young showed up, has that aired yet?
No.
No.
Okay, so just to the people at home who don't want to know the results of what happened, other than the fact that Eric Young showed up, just put your fingers in yours right now and start going.
Spoilers.
La, 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 la.
We're just doing it 'cause it's fun.
I'll wave when you can like listen again. Don't go away though. Please don't go away.
Our only
You
audience.
totally scared them off, man.
Every user has left the room.
Okay.
You have negative.
Oh shit! We actually we lost 2 people.
Fucking asshole.
Thanks a lot, JT.
It's okay. I think we still have our sheep guy.
Yeah, we should.
The users went off to go be drug users now.
He's gonna tell spoilers. Fuck you. All right.
Fucking asshole.
So anyway, I am actually gonna spoil the show.
I think you've already spoiled this show.
Give that man a cookie.
So, basically, Eric Young comes out. He challenges Samoa Joe to a match, Samoa Joe being the champion right now. And later that night, he loses the match and he doesn't show up again for the next few episodes of NXT. What is the point of premiering a brand new wrestler from another promotion and scout him as, like, he's finally arrived, only to have him lose and then not show up for another month?
Who did they do that with?
Eric Young.
Because they want to.
I don't know. Maybe they're trying to give credibility to
Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
I guess it would be too easy if he this is like his 3rd time trying to get that title, and he got this on a house show, so he get the title. Next thing, some random guys just came up and say, "You're like, oh, it's you." It's like, you're gonna challenge me? All right, I should beat you 1, 2, 3.
Like, what I would suggest is maybe they're trying to be old school with this, because like in like the 80s, like if you like had like a top guy get beat up and then like have him like disappear for a month, like it would be like, oh my god, like that guy beat him up so bad that he was injured for a month. Or maybe they're just being the WWE and fucking dropping a hot prospect like they always do.
I'm hoping, like I said, since Triple H came from that era, so he's doing that type of thing, so maybe it'll come back.
He's trying to promote a pro wrestling show, which I give him props for, but it seems like every time he tries to bring it up to the main roster, every time he tries to like promote that type of show in the WWE, like it just kind of gets smacked down, because like they're just so used to that style of wrestling where it's just all about like like writers and storylines.
You're forgetting one thing.
And pretty much the only purpose the matches serve is to further the storylines instead of the other way around, the storylines furthering the matches.
You're forgetting one thing. Vince McMahon runs the main roster. Triple H takes over NXT.
That's exactly why I don't think Triple H's ideas are working in the main roster. That's why you see these NXT guys come up to the main roster and pretty much like flail around for like a month.
Well,
The NXT guys, unfortunately, are dead.
Pretty
on
much
arrival.
just like fish out of water, just flopping around.
I think James Storm also kind of ruined it by like coming in, looking around, going nope, and going straight back to TNA.
Why will you go back to TNA?
Why would you go to NXT and then to TNA? Why would you go from TNA to NXT to TNA?
he claimed that they offered him more money in TNA than they did in WWE.
Well,
They
yeah.
gave him 3 sandwiches instead of 2.
And his checks will probably bounce anyway.
Well, that's the thing. Like WWE has been like lowball. Like WWE like was lowballing these top indie guys. That's why AJ Styles didn't sign for the longest time because they gave him a lowball offer. Like this guy was making like $5,000 an appearance on indie dates. Like, and they gave him some sort of bullshit offer. Like that's why a lot of guys don't even bother going to the WWE because the WWE just kind of treats them like jobbers and like gives them these low offers because it's like, oh well, you're a big star in the outside wrestling world, but like you've never been here.
Well, I think
So
that's
clearly
why
you're
the
not
whole
that
Daniel
big.
Bryan thing blew up in their face a little bit because they didn't think this guy would be like, just take over, and then you add the fact that he was push him, and the fact he had the concussions, it just made him like the ultimate babyface story.
To be fair, like I used to watch Daniel Bryan in Ring of Honor, and like if you had told me back in 2005 that Daniel Bryan was going to be the WWE champion like 8 years later, I would have told you were fucking crazy. Like always been a good wrestler. Like he always kind of lagged on interview skills and charisma, and it's just like he's like you don't look at him and think of him in that role. Like you're like, oh, he could go to the WWE, he could do good for himself, but he's not going to be the guy. And it was the same way with CM Punk. Like you would see him and be like, oh, I could see him going to the WWE. I could see him having like a good intercontinental title run, but I don't see him as like face of the company.
What was that famous picture in the WWE where they had CM Punk and Daniel Bryan both had the SmackDown titles, the Raw title? Was it Kofi Kingston and Evan
Yeah, they
Bourne
had the
tag
whole
team?
thing the night the internet won, where they had like Kofi Kingston and Evan Bourne as the tag champions.
Zack Ryder,
Zack
US
Ryder was U.S. champion, and who was the Intercontinental champion?
Cody Rhodes.
Cody Rhodes.
Beth Phoenix as women's champion or diva champion or whatever the hell they
I'm
were
so glad
calling
they
it at the
changed
time.
that. To the
I don't remember what
women's.
generation that was.
That was like 2006, I think. 2000.
That was the very end of 2011.
2011.
Damn.
It's just that's how much the last 10 years have just mixed together.
They all started to blend.
I stopped watching wrestling for 6 months, 8 months. Come back, it still seems to be the same as it was before. Zack Ryder's jobbing, so is Dolph Ziggler.
We're stuck in a time loop.
Oh, come on. Zack Ryder's a hype bro, okay?
You know what? This is what really pissed me off. After WrestleMania, I was willing to get. And this is the thing, guys. I have not really watched pro wrestling since WrestleMania because I haven't liked anything. The only thing I really, really liked was Zack Ryder won the IC Championship. I don't care that he's been losing months on end. We know it's fake. So I was just happy. Look, they're finally giving him a push. I don't care if he loses every match from now on. He has the IC title. What do? The very next night, they have him lose the IC title. A day later, he has his rematch and loses that too. He's already back on NXT doing tag matches. In 1 month, he went from winning the Intercontinental Championship in the first match of WrestleMania to one of the starting matches of NXT. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
I mean, wow. I mean, even Ryback was talking about if he can leave, and he says yeah, I've been studying my ass working my asses off like a long time. I'm not seeing any results. The Kalisto match he had at WrestleMania in the pre-show was kind of BS because it was a good match, but nobody saw it. And it's like, you know what, dude? Yeah, you should leave. Like, go to like Japan for a while and then come back.
Well, let's be fair. With Ryback, they gave him a chance. They gave him the IC
Ryback.
title belt, and didn't he have it for like 3 months?
At least.
Yeah.
3 months.
So he had time to do stuff.
Yeah, but to be fair, like those titles don't really mean a whole lot of anything. It's just something you give to someone when they start complaining that they're not being used. Like it's like, oh, we're using you. We gave you the IC title.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt with the chat again because we got this one guy here, and I'm actually being entertained by this. I'm sorry that you guys can't actually see the chat. He's just been talking nonstop about sheep, but he's now gotten to the point where it's Ric Flair with a wool scarf. That's my dream. Woo.
Hold on. Wait a minute.
I tip my hat to you, sir.
We technically can make this conversation about sheep without going into dangerous territory.
We
The
could.
Wyatt family. What
Yeah.
the fuck happened to them? I really want
Bray Wyatt is injured.
to know. Okay, what about
Again?
the rest of the family? Are they just kind of AFK?
Luke Harper is injured.
Oh, really?
The
Everyone's
two
got a
sheep mask
shoulder
guys
injury now.
are active.
Well,
Well, that doesn't help.
No, the two people who wear the mask are the only two wrestlers who are active, and unfortunately, they're both boring as shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
Bray Wyatt is supposedly out 6 to 8 weeks.
Really?
Ooh. Do you know how he got injured? Like, what's his injury?
He literally ran up to whoever he was fighting at the time, and his quad just went. "Ugh."
At a house show.
Yeah, at a house show of all fucking things.
He asphyxiated while being buried.
That's a
I
good
think it was
question.
against Roman Reigns. 'Cause I saw the video on YouTube.
You are correct.
He literally was just running into the corner, and suddenly his leg was just like, nope, I don't want to work no more.
That's a big problem right now. Everyone's getting hurt.
Injured.
Yeah.
Like, the schedule is just beating the shit out of all these guys. Everyone's hurt.
And now it's affecting the NXT roster.
And I'm pretty sure the Wyatt family.
Yeah, Bailey just got hurt.
Yeah.
Hideo
Bailey's
Itami
hurt
has
now?
been
Bailey
out.
got hurt.
Yeah,
Well,
she like.
fuck.
They think she tore her ACL during a match.
It's funny. A guy on YouTube, I call him the angry video game nerd of wrestling, wrestling with Greg guy.
Yeah, I love that guy, man.
Yeah,
Good
he's
shit.
the one who did the how to get in the wrestling thing. He did a thing where he talks about
Hi, Melanie.
do a schedule.
Melanie's here. Hi, Melanie.
Hey, Melanie,
Hi.
how you doing?
We're drinking
Mel.
and bullshitting.
Yeah.
What's up?
You get down with the sheep.
Get down with the sheep. Yeah,
Come on,
Yeah.
get down with the sheep now. Come on, get down with the sheep now. Open up your flock and let them flow into me.
that's a new
I don't know what
WWE
the
song
fuck
right
you're
there.
suggesting with that.
That's a new WWE song right there.
Like, I feel like that's a felony, what you just said.
Only in 38 states.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
So you still got 12 states where you could have your party.
Well, like I say, he had a brilliant idea to give everybody like 3 months off, like break it off in 3 months.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So this way, you still have time to develop the other talents. Even though you could be a champion, you could still be gone for like 3 months, and then everybody else do the thing, and then he come back.
The problem with that idea is it requires long-term planning, and WWE is not very good with long-term planning.
Yeah, they're not like Marvel or Disney.
They certainly aren't.
Mr. Kennedy a few years ago pitched in the idea of having an off season after between WrestleMania and SummerSlam, and Vince McMahon shut that idea down in a heartbeat.
Well, you're me, Kennedy. I'm the only one who come up with this great idea.
Well, I mean, at the very least, if you're not going to give them an off-season, like, give them insurance. Like, I'm sure they're making enough money where they could get these guys insured. Like, what? Every time someone gets injured, they have to pay out of pocket? Like, injuries in wrestling are a pretty big deal. Like, it's very easy to get injured. They happen often. And when you do get injured, like, a lot of times it involves surgery, and that's all expensive. And then they have to pay out of pocket. And, like, unless you're, like, a top guy, you're not really making that much. Like, there are guys, like, someone like the Jobbers are only making, like, $75,000 a year. That's not a lot.
Unfortunately, that's the contracts they signed
Especially when
for.
you have to spend money to travel and eat and just on medical bills. Like, that's not a lot of money.
Or pay
Like, there was
our
a story where,
families.
like, I watched a Brian Myers shoot. Who was he? He was Curtis Hawkins in the WWE where he said that Super Crazy told Vince he had to quit because it was just too expensive for him to keep working there. Like he wasn't making enough money.
Wow. That's.
Apparently, JT is still amused.
There's something going on in that
Melanie,
chat that we're not seeing.
Yeah, let's see. Melanie joined the chat.
And then
she mentioned that
immediately
she's
left.
going out with Jess. And then Mark wanted to know if Jess is hot, and since she's a blonde, he probably thinks so.
You've met? Haven't you met Jess? You've met Jess.
Maybe.
Yes, you have.
It was probably a long time ago.
And the other
It was
guys.
probably 6 months ago. Like you're not that drunk, are you?
Not all the time.
Is that a serious joke?
That's a serious question. Like you're starting to make me feel like not as much of an alcoholic as I probably am. Like you're starting to make me.
Is
feel
your
better
blood
about
still
myself.
flammable?
I don't know. Let's find out. You got
A few lighters over there.
So you're making Pat feel normal.
Huh.
To the
I
audience
feel
at home.
sorry for anyone who is actually listening to this because it's just like the drunken wrestling ramblings of like.
No.
Well, we're back up to 4 people, and now we're about to move back
I was
down
about to say we're this version of the drunken peasant, like the amazing atheist.
Probably you, Andrew.
I'm gonna.
Thanks a lot, Andrew, for bailing.
I'm gonna listen to this later when I'm
okay.
sober and be like,
Love you,
"What the
Millie."
fuck am I talking about?"
We just rambling on.
I don't
Why
know,
do
but
I
it's
keep
fun,
talking
man.
about sheep? Sheep.
Tell him to quit with his sheep fantasies.
Well, then I have something to count when I fall asleep during this broadcast.
Sheep fucker.
Podcast 20XX. We're here.
We're here. Somebody play the song, the Bray Wyatt song.
Oh my god, I really feel sorry for anyone that's listening. This is just so incoherent and ridiculous.
Especially guys dreaming about Ric Flair and sheep.
Oh,
That sheep guy, man, like, we gotta get him on
We
the
saw an animated
podcast.
picture of Ric Flair humping a rock on a sanctioned cartoon.
That's going to air right after Payback tomorrow.
Exactly. So that kind of takes the cake.
Oh, the new WWE cartoon that
Yes.
comes out.
Yeah,
Humping a rock while
WWE,
going,
Camp WWE or whatever it's called.
Don't worry, I will play that after Payback. Don't worry.
You know,
I won't be there, so I'm not gonna
if that
give a
show
fuck.
was like on Adult Swim, I would definitely watch that.
Oh,
Well, that's kind of what they're going with, because Seth Green is producing it.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. They're kind of going with that whole, like, mature animation thing.
Wow, how much would
mature
they,
animation.
they get? How much they're gonna get
Oh,
away
fuck
with?
that.
Because I could see this type of show maybe during the Attitude Era, but not so much now, unless again Adult Swim.
Well, a lot of their fan base is, like, in the 18 to 35 category, so it makes sense. Like, they do have a section of the fan base that do enjoy adult animation, so I guess they're trying to cater to that. I
And-
mean, a lot of what's on the WWE network is kind of niche programming.
And there is parental controls. Like, you can censor a lot of the ECW stuff on the network.
I want ACW uncensored.
Oh,
You can watch it uncensored.
Oh, cool.
I was gonna say something. I can't remember what it was. Well, what bothers me, and this actually goes with almost every bit of their advertising outside of pro wrestling, is they still promote the shit out of Steve Austin, The Rock, and The Undertaker, which is a part of the Camp WWE. They're children in Camp WWE. Like Steve Austin and The Rock have been like Steve Austin. He last wrestled 2003.
Yeah.
It's 2016. That's
And he
13 years
hasn't
ago.
had a regular role in the product since, like, 2005.
Yeah.
Well, it's just sad because besides maybe John Cena, there's nobody that been like the guy where it's like we could still make money off him. Hulk Hogan for a while was like that too.
Well, they haven't really been getting behind anyone that the people like.
Mhm.
They have been getting behind people, but not anyone that we ever really want to cheer. Roman Reigns just feels like he's been like kind of shoved down people's throats from the start.
He's just been, like, kind of forced into that spot, like a square peg into a round hole.
And he doesn't feel like he earned it too. Like he actually like I'm busting my ass to earn that spot.
I don't know.
Should we just give the spot to Dean Ambrose?
That's who I was. But when the Shield came out, I'm like, see that guy there? His name is John Moxley, and he
He's
is
the
the guy
guy.
to look at. He
Well,
is the future.
Even Seth Rollins was really good.
Yeah.
Like, Roman Reigns is probably the least talented out of the three of them.
Well, on one of the Art of Wrestling podcast, the one where CM Punk spilled his guts about
The
blah,
second
blah, blah.
one where he was talking about like, oh, you got to make them look really strong.
Well, it was like he said, like the group was supposed to be his group, his stable.
And it was supposed to be Hero, Rollins,
Right.
and Ambrose.
Chris Hero.
And they got rid of Hero and said, we're going to give you Reigns instead. So right from the start, they were like, we want Reigns.
Yeah. They were trying to smash him into that spot. Well, even Hero, like, I always loved Hero's work, but, like, I always knew that, like, his aesthetic look was going to hold him back, and, like, it really shouldn't. Like, I hate that concept in wrestling that everyone has to, like, be jacked. Like, that's not
Well-
how actual fights work. Like, everyone's seen a fight where, like, a small guy beat the shit out of a big dude because the small guy was just a better fighter. And I feel that's
In
the
real
way...
life, too.
That's the way wrestling should be. Like, there's so many different aspects to fighting. There's a technical aspect, like speed, power, precision. Like, there's so many different styles and, like, factors that go into a real fight. And I feel like wrestling should be presented that way. Like, oh, this guy is smaller, but he's faster, so that's his advantage. So you should present it so that, yeah, this guy has a weakness, but he also has a strength. And that way you could have, like, guys of different, like, builds and sizes and body types, like, wrestle each other and have it believable by promoting, like, the strengths of certain wrestlers against the weaknesses of others.
That's
Yeah,
why
like
I think
the
the Ambrose Lesnar match was kind of a disappointment. I mean, Ambrose's specialty is being supposed to be the unpredictable lunatic who can do anything possible. Well, now you're in a match where anything you could legally get away with anything, and
But
it's
you're-
just kind of a letdown.
But you're fighting a guy that doesn't want to do any of that. Who didn't want to be in the match in the first place.
Really,
He wanted me a match with Bray Wyatt because he thought it would be great chemistry between those two.
could be. Unfortunately, Wyatt has the bad tendency to look up to Kevin Nash.
Lesnar's the one that screwed that whole match up.
Well, there was nothing technically. There's nothing stopping Ambrose from being like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm gonna go grab a chainsaw that fires
Rockets.
obese cows at you or something.
Bees.
Obese cows.
No,
I
shoot
don't know.
bees.
Something we haven't seen.
Yeah, but that's how you get heat backstage, going into business for yourself.
And there's
I
nothing
expected that
stopping.
match to end with Ambrose doing something where no one should be able to kick out from. Like, I don't know, he hits him with like 18 chairs at once, and then Lesnar kicks
We
in
all
at
know
5.
that was never going to happen.
That's what should have happened.
I'm not
going
gonna
to
argue with that.
Take him to the edge in terms of hardcore, and Lesnar's like, no, I'm still the monster.
Lesnar's still one of the biggest crybabies in the business.
Off camera.
So what his way goes.
Yeah.
Well, that's why.
Until he doesn't bring money in anymore. With Paul Heyman behind him, that might be wild.
Yeah, that's why I'm hoping, like, say, like Apollo Crews or somebody just as big.
Well,
as
one
his
of the
talent,
reasons
his
he
talent
brings
might
in
knock
money
him
is
down
because of
and make him
legitimacy. Like, he's a legitimate badass.
Yeah. I mean, like, who's the next biggest guy to him? Roman Reigns. And Roman Reigns has nothing on Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar.
He's
is
a
just
former UFC heavyweight champion. Like being a former UFC champion gives him legitimacy.
And he looks like a tank. There's
Yeah.
no one that looks like as big of a monster as he does.
Mhm.
Again, Roman's the closest, and no.
The two
Like,
guys.
he's not as big, and Lesnar has that legitimacy.
The only two
Like-
guys I could think of straight up is Cesaro and Apollo Crews, because those guys are not only big, they got the skills to back it up too.
Yeah, but WWE doesn't, like, really promote that as much. Like, everyone says that Cesaro has, like, no charisma or everything, but like, I've been watching him in the Independents since 2006. He has it, it's there, but, like, they're just so hell bent on just making him that evil foreigner. Like, every time they have someone who's from another country, they just, like, go into autopilot mode and give them that evil foreigner gimmick.
You are
And-
not American, therefore
Now
you
they're-
are evil.
and that's not how you get people over anymore. Like, it doesn't work anymore. Like, it worked back in, like, the 80s and 90s, like, when we had these conflicts, like, during the Cold War, and, like when any Russian would be, like, a major heel, or like, during Desert Storm, where you could get, like, someone over just because they're Iranian. Like,
Hey,
it
Rusev
doesn't
had a
work that
great
way
heel
anymore.
run until he unfortunately got fed to Cena.
They have a new role now for Cesaro.
What?
He's a good guy, and he's like got a James Bond gimmick.
I'm kind of disappointed because like they did this amazing segment on the internet with Cesaro where they showed him training and they showed how disciplined he was and how hard he works. And like I'm watching it and I'm like, why isn't this on your regular programming? Like this is getting him over. It's making him like they did it in a way so that he was still heel, but he just looked very like strong and disciplined and just tough. And I'm like, why aren't you putting this on your regular programming? Like this would get him over.
You don't get it, Patrick. We only have 3 hours now. I mean, it's not like we had we had 2 before, and we could barely do anything with that. We have so much content.
20-minute segments that go nowhere.
Thank you for proving my point.
Well, again, the difference between NXT and WWE, NXT could do everything they need to do in 2 hours. Well, 3 hours with WWE is like, get on with it. Get on with it. Get on with it.
Because like I said before, they're
Thank
two
you, Monty Python.
they're two like completely different like philosophies on how to present a wrestling show. Like NXT is all about this is a wrestling show. Like we're gonna use anything we do in terms of interviews or backstage segments. It's done to further the wrestling matches, and I feel like they've got it backwards in the main programming where the matches are just meant to further the storylines instead of the storylines furthering the matches.
Or there's no payoff for the big talking segment. I mean, we get it. If Stephanie comes out, she's going to
It
talk.
really
She's
just
not
feels
gonna
like they're trying to fill time.
Yes, because they get more money for
Okay.
3 hours instead of 2. But it used to be, if there was a talking segment, you would be rewarded immediately
Yeah.
afterwards with a good wrestling match.
Even that, or the talking segment was incredibly enjoyable. Like in the late
Promos, yeah.
'90s,
The
with
shoots.
Foley's segments were always good. Austin's segments never felt like they dragged. Like it's like they have this like old. They have this old carryover from the Attitude period, and it doesn't work anymore because like the product's not as entertaining as it was in the Attitude era. So the Attitude era. So you can't like have these long segments anymore.
Well, to be fair to this generations of WWE,
What is going on?
I just had
Because
to, head bash against GT.
Yeah. Sheep Diddler. The difference between WWE and Sheep is I haven't been in WWE.
Oh God!
Damn.
That's like that one dead baby
Congratulations,
joke.
you got
I-
another shout-out.
You're fired.
Yeah,
But not
that,
really, because we need the views.
The cops will be at your door, sir.
that reminds me of a dead baby joke. What's the difference between a dead baby and a Ferrari? I don't have a Ferrari in my garage.
What's
Can
the
I-
difference between a truck full of dead babies and a truck full of bowling balls?
You can't use a pitchfork to unload the truck of bowling balls.
you see what you did, Mr. Sheep? You need to come on the podcast
This
next
is going
time.
to turn into a dead
Don't
baby joke
encourage it.
podcast really fucking quick.
Can I interrupt to say that Mel texted me to say that we're all entertaining right now?
Thank
Oh,
you.
we're doing
Thank
it
you,
for the wrong
Melanie.
reason.
Thank you.
Like, what the fucking
Where's
fuck?
Mark Henry? He's dead.
Like, if I knew podcasting was this easy, I would have done it like fucking years ago. Like, it's just like getting drunk and bullshitting.
No, Mark Henry is he's doing father duty with his Mae Young's son, the Hand.
Didn't they do an episode on one of their TV shows with that? Like, hi, Dad. Oh, yeah, they did it on an episode of Raw, but
fuck.
with Mae Young.
Yeah, they
No,
did.
it was that pay-per-view. It's like, Mom, can we go? And it's like this guy dressed up as a fucking
Hand.
glove.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
He grew up pretty fast.
Well, wow.
I
What's it
just
been
don't-
like 15 years. since
That
that
is one of
segment?
the
So he
examples
moved
I bring up about the Attitude Era and how I feel like it's like the most romanticized period in professional wrestling because there was a lot of ridiculous bullshit during the Attitude Era.
But it was
like the main
presented so
storyline, it wasn't even that. The main storylines were so good. Like they had all this amazing top talent going on that like it was able to overcome the bullshit. Like
Alright.
good talent can overcome bad writing.
All right, Choppy, you're a PP.
PP.
Not always.
No, because it's so over the
Mr.
top.
Rocco.
If you're that fucking hot, if your talent is that hot, it can overcome bad writing.
Like Too Cold Scorpio. I think Mick Foley, though, used Too Cold Scorpio as an example. Like, I see what you did to him. Make sure it doesn't happen to me. Or with some wrestler, you said like some amazing wrestler came in and had like the worst gimmick you had ever seen, and
Well, Scorpio did have a pretty bad gimmick.
So I like how he dances.
Well, I think they
Dance,
also
monkey,
didn't
dance.
showcase him very well. Scorpio's at his best when you're putting him in a great athletic contest with someone else, and they really weren't doing that. They were either having him like squash someone or having someone squash him. Like he needs like a good like athletic 20-minute match, and that's what makes him and the other guy look good.
Did he,
Like his
like-
matches with Benoit were fantastic.
Dressed up like a pimp one time.
Who?
We're still doing this? Really?
Doing
We're still
Baltimore?
doing this.
You mentioned this name. We never heard of him.
Baltimore, the person who should not be named.
You just named
Ben-
him. Like, what the
Ben
fuck,
Voigt?
bro?
Lord Moldy
Before.
Butt.
Crossface chicken wings and tap water.
Oh God. You're going to hell. I'm going to hell for laughing. We're all going to hell.
What's not funny about it?
Like, I'm gonna be riding shotgun. I'll buy the beers.
So there's a YouTube channel called Raka Raka or Rada Rada, I forget, and they did a video called Every WrestleMania Ever. And when I showed this to Rob, at one point he pointed out, "Hey, is that Benoit's music during one segment?" And it was one segment where someone was stuffing a pillow over the face of someone else. I was like, "Oh my God, you're right. We are terrible, you people." It's only on there for like 3 seconds, but sure enough, it happened.
I would like to point out that what Benoit did was very, very awful. And
Allegedly
we-
did. Allegedly.
He fucking did it.
You ask some people,
Allegedly.
and they're like, "No, it's a conspiracy. It was Sullivan."
Why would Benoit do that?
Sullivan.
Because he
He even
fucking
talked
had the
about-
brain of an 80-year-old man at the age of 40.
My question
That's-
is like, their conspiracy theories fall apart in my head. Like, why the fuck would Sullivan care? Like, wouldn't he move on
Yeah, he
after
did
all
move
this
on.
time?
Well, he
Yeah.
did threaten to murder him.
Yeah, back when it first fucking happened, like if someone stole your woman, wouldn't you threaten to murder them? I know I would.
He's still friends with Nasty before they died. That's what I heard.
Like I find just as a human being, like over time, like you just start like dropping all your like angst against people and kind of like you look at old feuds and you're like, why the fuck do I even care anymore? Like I'm too old to hold on to this baggage. So like people thinking that Sullivan like was that fucking angry about it, that even after he remarried and like moved on with his life after like 11 fucking years, like he would do this, like to me just sounds fucking absurd. Like I don't know anyone who would hold on to a grudge like that badly for that long.
I do. Space Nazis. They never like
I stand corrected.
You're talking
Excuse me,
about
you're
a
sitting,
Satanist.
You're sitting while drinking beer.
I hope you die.
Well, it looks like Sheep Diddler is going away.
No.
He has said to
To
us,
commit suicide,
"My work
hopefully.
here is done. If you ever need me, I'm always nearby."
I
Just
don't-
go near
You
the
need to
sheep
stop reading
and
that
say
right now
the sentence.
before you regret it forever.
Where's the sheep?
What the
And I'll
fuck
be
is his
there.
work? He said his work is
To
done.
make
Like,
sweet,
what is
sweet
his
love
life's
to-
work that he's
Hey,
trying
dude,
to
if
get
you
us
come
to
back-
do?
Accomplished.
Announcing his fucking of sheep.
Like the fact that we fucking acknowledged him, he's like, "Oh, you gave me attention. I can leave now."
Hey, dude, if you're gonna
Wait a
come
minute,
back,
maybe.
use the sheep single.
Maybe it's some
Get
kind
me
of like reverse psychology where a sheep raped him as a child. He's just trying to get over it.
We're not psychiatrists, pal.
Dirty deeds done with sheep. Dirty deeds done with sheep.
The only cool thing about sheep was that Peter Jackson movie, Black Sheep, with the weird sheep. That's all I gotta say.
I've never seen that. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Before Peter Jackson, you know, was the Lords of the Ring guy. He did like.
Was this like before or after Brain Dead?
after? Basically, he's trying to go back to his old roots.
What, with the fucking
When he
horror
wasn't
shit?
making money. That's right.
Before people in the know, hey, New Zealand's a great place to go.
So
to
here's
make
my
movies.
question: then, can this conversation like ever branch out into random stuff, or do we have to like go back on the topic of
We
wrestling?
probably should stick on the topic of wrestling, especially since
Really, we have like 4 fucking viewers, and they're our friends, so like they just want to hear us talk about shit.
and a guy that likes sheep way too much.
I think some have just left us.
I don't even care. Like the whole point of this is for us to like sit around and bullshit, man. I'll talk about anything. Like wrestling isn't the only thing that I like. Like I love tons of shit. Like I love movies, comics, music, everything, man.
Pop culture.
I think we're going to branch out into other types of podcasts later on. This one's
So you're trying to
specifically
just keep it specifically to wrestling.
yeah, but like we're going to do future ones.
Even though I feel like every wrestling fan branches out, I feel like a lot of wrestling fans are just general nerds.
They are.
Like I would go to Chikara shows, and like the people there would seem like the type of people you'd see at at a punk rock show.
Comic Con.
Yeah, like they were all comic book nerds and like punk rock guys.
Well, Comic Con just seems like the fan convention now. It's not even really comic.
Yeah,
book, it's
yeah,
everything.
it's just like because they've gotten that way. They just kind of incorporated a bit of everything just to kind of appeal to everyone. You get more people to come that way.
More money.
Well,
Yeah.
Stephanie McMahon, when she was on the interview, I think on USPN, she was saying that the way how they get a WrestleMania into a town is similar to a Super Bowl, but once that WrestleMania comes to that town, it's basically it's Comic Con for like a whole week. Like,
Yeah.
you know.
I was paying attention to the entire access from this previous one. And it's like, shit, I wish I was there. They had so much going on.
Well,
at
the
Access.
fucking NXT Dallas Takeover show was fucking phenomenal.
It was.
And then the same area, they were doing the Stone Cold Steve Austin podcast live in the ring with Mick Foley.
Yep.
Not just that, like Wrestle Reunion was running a convention too. Like every year, Wrestle Reunion piggybacks off of WrestleMania and goes into the city. Like for a while, WWE was trying to shut it down. They were trying to like find ways to get these companies to stop piggybacking off of WrestleMania because Ring of Honor would come into town during WrestleMania, like Wrestle Reunion.
WrestleCon.
Yeah, and they would, and WWE for a while was trying to shut it down, which I don't understand why. Like a lot of fans would just go to both. It's not like fans would just go to the Wrestle Reunion. It's not like they were even losing money. It was just like other companies would benefit off of it, and that just pissed off WWE for some reason.
Melody claims that her and Adam went to Access. Is this true? And if so, how was it?
It was fun. The only disappointment was they didn't have the Undertaker graveyard.
Wait, what?
Access usually has the Undertaker graveyard serum setup
Okay.
of all the people he's buried at WrestleMania.
Oh, really?
Oh God!
How does it compare to Triple H's graveyard of superstars he's buried behind
Except
the scenes?
except the Access we went to, they didn't have, and I was
He
very
really ought to
disappointed.
be carrying a shovel instead of a
And Melody can
sledgehammer.
actually attest to that.
I was going to say something about his graveyard is at WWE headquarters. Has anyone been to WWE headquarters?
Except for you.
No.
I decided, it was on my way home, so I decided to stop by. Man, it is a lot smaller than you think. It is small.
What is the building just a facade?
It, like, if you look there, it's off of Route 1, actually, in Connecticut. And Route 1 is this humongous hill, and if you're just standing dead center of the road, that shot you always see the WWE that looks like it's being taken from a helicopter, it's just from that fucking hill.
Fucking hill.
It looks as big as the buildings like that you would see near us.
It looks like a fucking like building in New York City. Like it looks
but
like a
it's-
fucking skyscraper.
It's not a skyscraper at all.
Hey,
It is-
Patrick, they should do like
It
this.
looks like it's 5 stories big.
It should be like the Scooby Doo movie when they have WWE City, where in the
Was that the one that you watched with us
It
at
is
Anime
it's a
Next?
suburban neighborhood.
Where the hills
There,
alive.
there is a guy who literally has a house next door to the WWE headquarters. There's a small, dinky little house.
Who is that, Vince? Oh, that's the neighbor. He's trying to get over here. God, get off my lawn, you motherfucker!
I wish I was that
Damn you,
neighbor.
Vince McMahon.
I hope that neighbor starts his own independent wrestling company, becomes bigger than WWE, buys out Vince McMahon, and
If that was possible, it would have happened already.
dresses him up as a sheep.
Or they could start his own
I love the
backyard wrestling
callback. I love the
federation.
callback.
I do my best.
You think the man with all his money would make basically a Universal Studios
Gonna-
type area?
We actually got someone else here, so I'm going to give a shout out to Mr. Tropine. If I screwed up your name, I very much apologize, but thank you for listening.
Are there any legitimate questions out there, or is it just our friends listening to us ramble?
I don't know if this is a friend. I think this is actually someone on the chat.
Why don't you just ask us a question
Like
then?
someone ask us a question, like
Demand
really,
questions, or we will execute your family at dawn.
like this just
Thank
feels
you,
very
Mark. If you
masturbatory.
hate your
It feels
family,
like I'm
then we're
just
gonna let
talking
them
for
live
the
longer.
sake of talking.
Mark, we need to bring these people in. We can't scare them away. That's how we get revenue.
Wait, you're getting,
This
you're
is-
getting paid for this?
Not yet. Hopefully
Well,
in
yeah.
the future.
Hey, you told me you were gonna fucking pay me. God damn it.
Yeah, he's gonna pay you with sheep.
Well, he paid me with cherry soda, so I guess that's payment enough. Like, even Melanie, ask us a fucking question. Like, someone ask us a question, so like I feel this is interactive and not just a couple guys circle jerking.
Not sheep related.
Well, the
Well,
sheep,
we're
the
almost in a
sheep guy is
semicircle.
gone, so we don't have to fucking.
Is he, or is he lurking
I
in
don't
the
know.
shadows?
Did you really have to put it that way, you
Are we
sick
still
fuck?
live?
I don't know. I'm watching the screen, giving a little refresh.
I blame Mark's internet.
I hope this is
Fuck you.
live, man. Like, I've been going on a tangent for the past hour and a half, man. If this isn't recorded, I'm gonna fucking cry.
Let's record it.
Dude, don't jinx it. I hear podcasts when guys that like they have good material for 4 hours and the computer just crap on them and like
Fucking
what the
crashes.
fuck? Yeah.
Well, even if
Yeah,
not,
I
like,
think
even
it
if
crashed
it's
because we lost. We were down back to one viewer.
like, even
Who
if
is
it's
it?
just me talking to myself, like, it's still fun.
It's us because I'm watching the feed.
Like, I like drinking beer and talking about random shit, so this is up my alley. Whether you put a microphone in front of my face or not, like, I'm gonna fucking ramble for 3 hours.
Hey, I suggested the podcast a long time ago. I was like, wow, we had some really good conversation. You want to put on a video? No.
I think this is really just for ourselves. Like, we're all gonna listen to this later and be like, oh, this is fucking awesome. Look at what we did.
I'm gonna be honest. I was on a plane for like 6 hours.
And you listen to your own
I had
podcast.
nothing better to do. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. We did record 2 hours of content and downloaded that.
With the internet, you can watch almost multiple podcasts and you listen to
We're all
yourself.
gonna go home and like play this to our mothers and be like, "Oh, listen, we were on a podcast.
So are we
like
still
your son's
live,
a
or are we just recording
star."
now?
Wait, what the fuck? What was that, Mark?
Are we still live, or are we just recording? Or you can't
No,
tell?
I can't tell. I'm waiting for a feed to come back on the page. Wait, I got a phone here.
Fuck.
Oh Jesus.
But I mean,
Anyways, like let's talk about something wrestling instead of talking about the fact that our feed cut out.
All right.
Well-
I know Mr. Steve knows about it, but I actually have a Let's Play channel with 10 whole subscribers
that's not
called
wrestling
Not
related.
Me, Not Me Gaming.
Still not wrestling related.
Well, you got the No Mercy thing on there.
Yeah,
Fuck
there
it,
is
man.
wrestling on there. So thank you, Steve.
What did you just say,
James.
Morrissey?
No Mercy, sorry.
No,
Oh, no
regrets,
mercy.
no
I thought we were
remorse,
going to
no
start
remorse.
talking about fucking Morrissey. I'm like, that's quite a like sharp turn for a wrestling podcast.
You can
Oh
identify
my.
our channel by the picture of Ghost looking nonchalantly to the side.
Ghost being his cat.
Oh,
So we have no
Those days on
feed right
camera.
now. Is that what you're telling
I don't
us?
think it matters. Like, we're going to talk regardless. Actually, like, I never cared much for No Mercy. Like, I actually like them.
It's because you're a Satanist.
No,
No,
I
I think the Satanists are the people who play No Mercy.
no,
Oh
I
no, that's
Sadist.
I actually
Yeah,
like the
that's it.
Japanese version, Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 location.
Firestar or something like that. Fire Pro.
Look at this.
that's-
Yeah,
not
I'm
really-
a fucking indie fag like that.
Fag you are. Fag you are. Hey, we're back again.
we got
Kind
no
of.
viewers, but we're
Yeah,
back.
we're back. The
Yay.
second you start calling me a fag, although I started calling
It's
myself
okay,
a
it
fag.
crashed again.
Oh my
At least you
God,
admit
are
it.
you using your evil energy to mess with the computers like you did with his Roku?
Or it's just
No,
Oh!
like you guys just are like I don't know. I just don't know anymore.
Just like with shitty internet person, you guys got shitty internet.
Like I'm gonna talk like I said before, I'm gonna talk regardless of whether you have this microphone in my face or not. So to me, it makes no fucking difference. Like I'm gonna be here drinking and talking for 3 hours,
beer
whether
definitely
you
helps,
record
though.
it or not.
I already listen to you talk every day.
Every day, motherfucker. I haven't seen you in like 6 months. Like, go fuck yourself.
He's gonna take his smartphone and just put a microphone right in front of your face and just go ahead to.
I'm gonna start fucking giving him knife edge chops. Like, fuck this motherfucker.
Hey, timing.
I like that one time where you tried to fucking chop me and I fucking hit you back hard and you were like, okay, I'm not fucking with this guy no more.
Headbutts.
Yeah, I was headbutting Yang the one time at his party. Like,
Yang. Yang, who's Yang?
Wang?
no, what's his name?
Wang.
The
Japanese
Wang.
guy.
Wang.
Oh,
The-
sorry.
Japanese guy.
It's
Oh, God.
Chinese,
the
but
fucking Asian kid that drinks way too much and
yeah,
DJs.
Eric Wang. Yeah.
Wang,
Oops.
I know you'll never listen to this, but you know, in case the world ends and this is the last audio you listen to in the world,
I wanna
I just want
live.
you to know you're actually Japanese.
Like the one time at one of your parties, I was giving him headbutts, but like everyone made it
You were
sound.
giving him head? Oh, you sick fuck.
Hey, dude, you get that fireball in me, and all bets are off, buddy.
No, wait. He's Asian. Was it big enough
Well,
for
I
him
was
to
just
give head
kind
to
of
him?
headbutting him. Everyone was making it sound like I was fucking like giving him concussion headbutts, and it's like, no, I was just kind of doing that.
To be fair, there's some groups in our people or one individual.
I think
say,
some of your friends are afraid of me, Mark.
Yeah.
There's good reason for that.
I'm harmless.
but
I'm,
to
like
be
I just get a little aggressive when I'm drunk. It's not like I've ever like hurt anyone
Does
drunk.
Steve Austin have a song
Does
that
yourself
like that?
count? Not that I would know.
Why would anyone care if I hurt myself? Like,
We care about you, Pat.
yeah, but not enough
I
to
mean,
stop
you-
me from drunkenly hurting myself. Like, I think I've proven that
We
before.
care about you as someone who probably shares our blood type.
Just like, oh, I need a kidney.
I think
Maybe
I prefer
paddle match.
my chances with death.
Why you don't want to?
Well,
you
there's
don't.
good news and
You
bad
don't want to
news,
risk
Mr.
having me
JT.
inside of you, don't you?
The good news is we found a matching blood type.
Okay, you two the bedrooms over
No one in here wants me inside of them.
Oh my.
Pat is not cheap.
But I am kind of odd.
Sometimes
There's an old episode of Seinfeld.
I was about to say, what you playing?
I think it
your
was
video
Kramer
there.
has to give him blood because he like falls
a
over and
phone
hurts
empty,
himself.
yeah.
He's like, "Hey, be happy! You got like 3 liters of me inside of you." He's like, "No!"
God.
I realized after going for an hour and a half that I was actually on the in-house network, which is
What
very
does that
far
mean?
away. The
That's why
router
it was
that is
so-
in the house versus the
The
router
one
that's
right here
literally
in the
right
garage.
Good job, James. That's our video.
Good job.
engineer
So that's why
Yeah.
our feed kept cutting off.
there. Probably.
Well, we could go for another hour and a half. I don't give a shit. I got nowhere to be.
It's recorded at least.
Yeah, it's
It just
recorded.
wasn't live via satellite or cable.
Yeah, like the 3 people that are listening.
Pirate
give a
radio.
shit.
0 people now.
Yeah, it's. I didn't say 0.
Why don't you
Be
people
able to-
come back and listen to this?
Please, we need.
Well, why don't you say something
We need the
interesting?
dues.
The next person to enter this chat room will win the lottery.
Dun 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 dun. I don't know.
Disclaimer: this offer is good for the next.
Why don't you just put up a
20
tweet
seconds.
about it?
And by lottery, we mean we're all
Damn it, Melanie!
$1.
Ah, crap! Now I gotta find a winning lottery ticket for Melanie.
I keep
Actually,
flagging
one
out,
of my
but I gotta go
coworkers
anyway.
just won like $3,000 in the lottery.
Oh wow.
I was gonna jump him in the parking lot, but then I remembered that I kind of liked him, so I was like, okay, I'll let you live this time.
I didn't know that.
Tony Krabs, shout out to Tony Krabs. Like, it's a coworker who just goes by Tony Krabs because like that's like one of his nicknames. Like he goes to the crab races every year, like
Crab
down
races?
south. Yeah, it's where like
They race crabs.
yeah, they race
What?
crabs like all fucking week. Like they race crabs, and he like drinks and like cooks crabs all fucking week.
You know they
And he does this for like 2 weeks during fucking Labor Day week.
You should tell your friend they have cream for that.
I should tell him that because he'll probably come up with a really good quip. He's one of those guys.
Oh, he's always got one in reserve
Yeah, like
in case of insult, break glass.
like he like
And then
Like his
slash
per-
his throat.
like his personality is like he's one of those like I don't want to say Italian tough guys, but he has like just like this Italian like talkative guy attitude. Like he's just like, hey, Tony the Crab, I'm Tony the Crab.
Tony the crab.
He's a fucking amazing human being. Like I
Eat
used
crab
to
flakes
not
for
get along with
breakfast.
him, but
They're good.
he's fucking awesome.
Speaking of Italian stereotype, what you guys think of Enzo and the other guy, Big Taz or Big?
They're good.
To me, they're evidence that the NXT development program is working. Like it's working better than any other farm system ever. Because the whole point of a developmental program is you get your wrestlers to in front of people, you get them working, you get them to develop, like you get them ready for the WWE. What NXT does that other developmental programs haven't done is it actually gets the guys over as well. Like all these guys coming in from NXT, like the crowd is fucking like losing their fucking shit for them.
Yeah. Even the
Like,
WWE
and that's
crowd,
amazing. Like, not only are you developing talent, but you're getting them over before they even make it to the WWE. It's like the old territories from the '80s. Like, guys would come in with all this prestige because they worked here and there and everywhere, and like you could get them over easier. And that's what's happening.
I
with
can't
NXT.
decide
These guys
which
are coming in just like to huge fanfare, and it's fucking amazing that you're doing that with your developmental league.
Well, here's the deal. WWE actually owns 100% of NXT. The other developmental companies, there was always a
It's
power
not
struggle.
that. It's the fact that every other time they've done a developmental league, like its programming has been syndicated. So like not every area got it. Like with NXT, their programming is on their network, so everyone can watch it.
Yeah, like
So like you're getting these guys huge exposure, and because of it, they're coming
Very
in
true,
over.
Billy. Very true.
it's compared to OVW compared to NXT with John Cena, Randy Orton.
Yeah, OVW, you would hear
Batista and
about
Brock
like
Lesnar came
OVW
from.
having these great matches, but you couldn't watch it because it was syndicated programming.
It's sad to say that NXT actually ended up being better competition against TNA than TNA was against WWE.
Well, I remember when I was training to be a wrestler, because for like a 6-month period, I was training to be a wrestler. Like the head of our company, it was called Pro Wrestling Syndicate at the time. Like they have since like branched off and become a new company called WrestlePro. A fucking plug for WrestlePro. Their website is WrestleProOnline.com. Check it out. Good company. When I was training for that company, the head Pat Buck was worried because like at one of the NXT Brooklyn shows, they were running opposite us, and he was like really worried about it. But there were some people that were NXT fans, but like were so dedicated to us, like so loyal to us, that they came to our show instead of NXT. Like that's the thing. NXT is competing with the indies right now, and like a lot of the indie companies are worried about it because like they're running the major indie areas like the Upper East Coast and stuff like that. Like it's actually a concern. Like I think that's what they're trying to do with NXT. They're trying to like cut into like the indie scene and kind of take business away from them.
Plus, the fact they have a major budget helps significantly.
Yeah.
I mean, and it works out for them because the more indie companies you can put out of business, you can take all their talent for cheap. Because like some of these indie guys, like just from working dates, like they can make good money. AJ Styles was making like $5,000 an appearance before he got signed for the WWE. That's why it took so long to sign him, because they lowballed him the first time.
I think a lot of pro wrestlers are getting a little smarter too, at least in terms of business. Because I think for years it was, we gotta get to WWE, we gotta get to WWE. Now a lot of them are going, no, we don't.
Like Daniel Bryan, like stayed away from WWE forever because he was having fun working in the Indies and he was making decent enough money. And even years ago, I had talked to Chris Hero, and Chris Hero has an insane amount of merchandise and sells so much of it. And he's like, and I asked him about it, and he's like, I have so much merchandise because I'm my own business. Like I make this merchandise and I sell it, and that's how I make money in wrestling. Like a lot of the guys are more merchandise driven nowadays. Like back in the day, like if you were a heel, you wouldn't sell merchandise. Like you wouldn't sell merchandise at all because you were a heel. Like
Yeah, you would steal it.
but like now, like everyone's got tons of merchandise. Like it's easier and cheaper to have merchandise made, and like people at indie shows, like they want to buy T-shirts, they want to buy DVDs. Like they go to shows to buy swag.
Your average YouTuber can call up a manufacturer and work out a deal where if they can get at least 1,000 plus T-shirts sold, the manufacturer will make it.
So like it's
and give
still
them a discount.
it's still pretty hard to make a living on the indies, but the top guys are doing it. That's why some of them aren't going to the WWE, because they're making a living and they're wrestling and they get to wrestle all around the world.
Just to jump in real quick, it looks like we're up to 6 viewers now, and we got a chat window up to the side. If you guys are listening on the website right now live on Saturday, whatever time it is right now, feel free to throw in any questions, and we'll do our best to either answer them or make a comment.
No question is off the books.
Yeah, grab anything you want.
Any questions, people?
Cool.
Don't grab anything you want. That was directed towards someone's grabbing a beer.
I'm trying to be discreet about grabbing people's gear.
Okay, I just did a tongue thing. I probably just chased a whole bunch of
You're all
people away.
being fucking bitches about it.
Who's being bitches about what now?
Who shot who in the what now?
How many viewers we have now?
6.
I feel like we would have more viewers if I just started breaking things drunk.
And if you're listening to this on
Off
YouTube, none.
Don't break my
Don't break my arcade. I spent like.
That is some pretty sweet fucking shit.
Oh,
bro.
thank you.
Is that version 4?
I really
I think
need to
it's
start
5
coming
now.
to your parties instead of being like a fucking like weird hermit and just like staying to myself.
Well, that's the cool thing about Mark's party because in the house, you could watch the wrestling in the garage. You could play the arcades,
Well,
video games.
his parties were the same way when he was at his parents' house. He kind of had different areas for different things, and I think that's kind of why your parties were so much fun. So much different shit going on.
Thank you.
And now my Italian made a video to show
Like
everybody.
you could fucking
Oh,
play
yeah,
video
yeah.
games in the garage. You could watch the pay-per-view
Yeah.
in the fucking house, or you could drink beers with.
Yeah, because usually we
But
get like
people in the
two-thirds of the
outside.
people that show up don't even watch wrestling. They don't give a shit, which I don't care. It's what you
It's an
come,
excuse to get drunk
drink,
and bullshit. with
have some
people.
fun, eat some food.
What were we talking about? Yeah.
I don't know. We're just kind of going all over the place.
Mark's WrestleMania parties
And
is the
as
best.
Steve pointed out, Vitelli made a preview of, or actually a review. How do
He
you describe
made
it?
a video
Oh, yeah, it was-
segment of the. You see me in the chair laughing my ass off with the New Day segment, but
It's like
basically
a 2-minute video.
Yeah.
Of
Yeah, I
what
saw
happened
that
at
video
WrestleMania in
where it
terms
was
of
just
our
you
party.
taping people watching the paper.
It wasn't
It
even
was
Vitelli.
that was what. Yeah.
Yeah.
Vitelli has a. If I
Vitelli
had money,
tapes,
I would.
He's
hire
still
Vitelli
around?
As an
He's still
editor.
around.
He's
He seems all right. I've never had problems with him, but like he's like me. He's kind of weird.
Actually, his description of Vitelli is pretty accurate.
yeah, it's true.
But like we're all kind of weird in a way. Like, like I feel like nerds like they're all kind of socially awkward in a way. So like they kind of cling to these to these things that allow them to kind of like be to themselves.
I learned that Dan Aykroyd actually have Asperger's. Asperger's.
Yeah, I learned that too the
Yeah.
other day. Did you watch the What Culture video about that?
Was it What Culture? I think it was Watch Mojo.
No, it was Watch Mojo. That's what
Yeah.
it was. I got the two mixed up.
I seen the newest one with Randy Orton that was kind of, and they mentioned the whole shit in the bag.
I watch a lot of the video game ones for Watch Mojo.
Do you watch the Xavier Woods Up Down Down series?
Sometimes, like if he has like a game that I really like, or like he has a guest that I'm interested in, like I'll watch it. But I'm not a regular watcher of the Up Down Down.
Yeah,
one.
I like Chris Jericho was pretty good. Was it the ones I kind of like?
They're fun because they always do like some crazy thing, like oh the loser we're going the fucking peg with a tennis ball that we covered in thumbtacks and broken glass.
He had the thing with when there was on WrestleMania. They played the big screen in the Dallas thing with
didn't
AJ
get to see
Styles,
that yet.
and they was playing UFC too,
Really?
which is like wow. They're playing basically the rivals company's video game on the big screen in WrestleMania, and I'm thinking to myself, they're not allowed to play CM Punk. Use the CM Punk.
They were playing the
character.
UFC game.
Yeah, the UFC too.
How'd he get away with that?
Well, the thing is, Vincent doesn't consider UFC competition at all.
Well, he doesn't say out loud that he considers them competition. But I don't know.
He goes on the record saying he doesn't, but like
I don't. He lies. Dirty sons.
UFC uses. I think I've said this earlier in the podcast, but UFC uses a lot of like the old drawing and heat tactics that pro wrestling relied on, just like having guys talk shit about each other to sell the match and get people to want to watch.
Or add that spice needed to, make a match not boring.
But like, yeah, I think they are competition in a way, and like a lot of. I think I said this earlier in the podcast. A lot of the problem with the WWE is they are constantly beating you over the head with the fact that they're not real. So like, the thing that WWE has over UFC though is sometimes like with UFC, like you have this great promotion for a fight, but the fight doesn't live up to the standards.
Yeah, like
WWE can replicate that drama every single time. Like they can, like because it's fixed. Like they can have that every time where they have like the big match, like they have the promos leading up to the match, and they have like a big sell for the match, and then like the match delivers. Like in theory, they can have that every time.
They have options. If something feels lacking, they could say, "What do we need to add to this equation to make it good or really
Yeah,
good?"
like they have an opportunity to make it good every time. UFC, like, there are some times where the guys are so afraid of losing where they're just kind of like dancing around each other and throwing like jabs because no one wants to make that big mistake that'll cost them the match.
That's actually what killed boxing to many people.
Yeah, that's why everyone hated the Mayweather Pacquiao fight. Not everyone hated it, but that's the reason why it wasn't a big draw.
It became a very defensive fight.
Yes, it was.
Like both got so many eyes were on that fight that both guys were so afraid of losing that they were just kind of like fucking like chipping away at each other, just
were
kind
they
of like
both doing
jabbing.
that? Right? I thought it was just
It was just Mayweather.
was doing that, and the other guy was trying to go
Trying to
for it.
box, yeah.
Well, all right. from
Even
what I recall,
Pacquiao was kind of defensive.
Mayweather was definitely more so on the defensive, but Pacquiao definitely could have.
Pacquiao was
he could have
kind
been
of
a little
timid.
bit
Like
more-
he would have his like he would have his like flurries of offense, but like he wasn't like going at him as really that hard. He was kind of like throwing a few punches, seeing how it worked out, and then like kind of
he was trying to
retreating and
draw,
waiting.
like a counterattack to take advantage of.
He was
Yeah.
he
That
was
was
trying to
never
make the best way to put it is he was trying to make Mayweather make a mistake that he could capitalize on.
And if Mayweather never counterattacks, there's no mistake to be made. Really.
Yeah. So like it was just like this kind of like slow boring fight of two guys just kind of like dancing around each other, throwing jabs, and
Now,
it just
if
sounds.
we just added the wrestling aspect to this just for a quick second,
Mm-hmm.
let's say that match had a stipulation where it's only going to end when someone cannot get up. Then suddenly the equation
Oh.
has changed.
Mm-hmm.
Now I have to knock this guy on his ass, or else
You
the match
think about
doesn't end.
the boxing in the 60s and 70s. They used to be like that.
Yeah, that's when you get people that got brain damage.
well, they even say that MMA is safer than boxing because like once a guy looks like he's not fighting back, like the ref calls it. In
Yeah.
boxing, like they let him like get up from they give him a 10 count to get up, and like that's how you get brain damage from like getting hit, falling down, and then getting back up and getting hit some more. That's how
Rocky moments.
That's how I got a concussion in a mosh pit. Like I kept getting knocked down and banging my head on the floor and then getting up because I was drunk.
The whole crowd just looked at him and say, "Stay down."
There was like no one there at that show. Like I got like
You got beat up in a mosh pit.
of 5 people.
Oh,
Like I got fucked up in a mosh pit that had like
I
5
think
or
we
6
call that,
people in it.
Like, I don't know, what would you call it? Like a gang.
Sad?
Like you just got ambushed by a gang.
It's a. Have you ever been in a mosh pit?
Yes.
Well, they're pretty bad.
Yeah. Usually there's like 30 ass.
Well, there's a difference. Like metal mosh pits are just kind of like pushing and shoving and slamming
I
into
almost got
each
my
other.
head taken off by a roundhouse kick in a mosh pit.
I was about to say, like, there's a difference. A metal mosh pit is like pushing and shoving and slamming into each other. Like a fucking scene or hardcore mosh pit is all that fucking arm swinging, leg flailing shit. I hate that
And then there's
shit.
death metal. Will you bring a fucking baseball?
Wait, wait. This is a.
How'd you
Death
get
metal
kicked
is
in
just
the head?
pushing and shoving and slamming.
I'm
Like,
sorry.
it's the hardcore mosh pits where like people are swinging their fucking arms and legs and like you take fucking spin kicks to the face. I hate that.
I'm
shit.
sorry. Is this supposed to be an event where you're supposed to watch the music thing, or this is a wrestling, boxing / MMA event?
It's all of these.
There is nothing like listening to your favorite aggressive song and fucking going balls out and going crazy. Like there's nothing like it in the world. Like there's nothing like hearing like think of the most aggressive song that's your favorite song. Think of your favorite aggressive song and think about like while that's going on, you're listening to it live and you're like just slamming into each other and getting out all that aggression. Like there is nothing in the world like that.
Well, wait, I have a question for you. Was the concussion worth it?
He doesn't remember.
Yeah. I was drunk. Like that's the thing. Like
Like I said, he doesn't remember.
every time I've gotten really fucked up in a mosh pit, like I was drinking because like the thing with moshing is like you kind of have to like be aware of your surroundings and kind of find your balance. Like there are times where you get knocked around and you kind of have to like use your leg strength to steady yourself. when you're drunk, that's not fucking happening.
All right.
Like you're gonna like fucking get knocked around like no one's business.
I know we kind of like went off track
Yeah.
intentionally, but JT's on the WWE website, and I just want to point out that the advertisement for Payback features the entire Wyatt family, despite the fact that
2 of them are injured.
half of them are injured
Yeah.
and not advertised to be on the show at all.
Okay. Also, to speak real fast, is our time is around 6:47 Eastern PM. I say we're gonna probably try to start wrapping up somewhere around 7 o'clock, so we'll end around maybe just a little after 2 hours. Originally saying in this podcast, the one I told you originally, Pat, that we didn't really have a format, but we were supposed to address like Payback. so I figured maybe just really quickly go through.
This is
some of the-
totally all my fault. I just started drunkenly
Guess what the
rambling.
kickoff matches for Payback.
I actually looked at the match, and it's Kalisto versus Ryback, right?
Yeah,
Correct.
so it was the kickoff match for
The
WrestleMania.
rest-
When they say kickoff, that means it's not on
Wow,
the air, right?
Yeah.
I feel bad for Ryback.
It'll be on the pre-show.
Cena, you tried so hard. I mean, I don't like you as a wrestler, but you tried so hard to make that title worth something, and
Yeah.
now it's just not even on.
His matches with Owens were fucking amazing.
Yeah.
All right, the next one is Enzo and Big Kaz versus
The Von
Why did
Villains.
it- on the website, they're like Enzo Amore
Wait.
and Colin Cassidy. Like, shouldn't you just
Because
call him
that's
Big
his
Kaz
full
at this
name.
point?
I just want to say this: the name Vaughn de Villains is
I love that.
so terrible. I love it as well.
Their
like-
the gimmick is
so
good,
terrible,
though.
They have
it's
evil
great.
mustaches.
No, I like the whole the 1920s black and white type stuff.
Well, they've been doing that type of thing on the indie scene for a while. Like Cole Cabana would wrestle as a masked wrestler called Matt Classic that was pretty much doing the same gimmick, and the fans fucking loved it. Like
Supposedly,
it gets over.
Wait, if
Like
I'm
it's a
reading this
silly
correctly,
gimmick, but it gets
the two
over.
newbie tag teams, at least newbie to WWE, are going to
Yeah.
be fighting each other.
supposedly Vince
that sounds
McMahon is not
actually-
But
high
like
on
I
all
said,
things.
like they're both over because of NXT. NXT got them over, so like people
This
want to
actually
see
sounds
this.
like it would be a very interesting match.
Yeah, I
whole
think
card looks very good.
I think the tag team division.
Like they're putting a lot of faith in their like new up and coming talent on this card.
Actually, it is a solid card. It's
From a wrestling standpoint, maybe
yeah,
from
is
like a
it?
superstar
We
standpoint.
have Ziggler, who's going to be fed to Baron
that
Corbin,
is true.
The Lone Wolf.
the lone wolf.
But that's still a match I
That's
want to
some kind of
see. All
Xbox
these matches
Live
are
game.
fucking interesting.
Hey,
Otto, I'm so sorry.
No,
Eventually-
Baron Corbin is like a name for an
Yeah,
indie guy
so
who's
cool.
starting out and like doesn't have anything better.
Don't make fun of my XXX Lone Wolf 69 XXX name.
Going a little off track here, real quick, but when Cody Rhodes started, he was still kind of learning to wrestle as he's live on air. Our nickname for him was CAW, Cody Rhodes. He was a creative wrestler. He was the generic starter wrestler. when
Oh,
you're
like
creating a wrestler.
like in a video game.
And he's just like, and every time he get a little bit better, it's like, Cody has learned DDT.
Like fucking Pokemon.
No,
Cody
I
can't
like-
learn more than 4 moves.
No, I like it how it finally all started clicking again and he became Stardust 2.0.
Cody forgot to take in full breaths. Cody now thinks he's Stardust.
No, Cody started to evolve into Stardust.
Cody's starting to devolve into
yeah.
Stardust.
Evolve.
how I miss dashing Cody Rhodes.
I kind of like Stardust.
Yay,
but
Pokemon
it's
references.
It's
It's gone its course at this
Yeah.
point.
He
Like,
doesn't, he
like
doesn't-
no one cares anymore. Like, yeah, just kill it.
He doesn't want to
It
drop
has
the
its
gimmick.
shots of funny, but doesn't really go anywhere.
I think he recognized that he, as himself, was boring, and this is the most interesting he's been. He actually, I still like him as even Stardust. It's just, but they're not doing anything with him. So there you go.
I think they should do like a split personality thing, like just
That would be cool.
Like Cody and then like his obviously can't wrestle himself unless you get like a twin or something.
Never
But
say
do like a
never.
Mick Foley type of thing where he's talking like a mirror or something, and it's like he's trying to fight like who I am. That would be
Well,
insane. He probably could pull it off.
The Edge and Christian show, I don't overly like it. I like they have 1 or 2 good skits per show. One of them was the Stardust episode where they're interrogating him, trying to find out where Cody Rhodes went, and just some of his lines in there are just amazing.
And
Are you-
towards the end when he came,
But Cody's actually producing the segments.
Are
So
you
it's like-
talking about a hand job?
Why?
Yeah, those one lines. I forget what the setup of that was, but it's like
I need to renew my
Christian's going
fucking WWE Network
we're
subscription.
gonna get you hard. We're gonna get you long, and then Cody's finally like, "Are you talking about a blow job? Oh no, are you talking about a hand job? I guess we are."
I cannot put this microphone deeper into my skull.
I can help with
What was
that.
the very ending? It was Cody Rhodes as the producer, in addition to Stardust sitting down
With-
being interrogated. Cody walks out of the room.
Oh,
Eddie
Jesus
Christian is
Christ.
confused,
Stardust goes.
and then
Stardust goes. Yes, I'm sexual and violent.
But he didn't. No, he didn't. He didn't do it like that. He was like,
God.
"Yes, I'm sexual and violent. Bye, boys." And then walks out of the
Holy
room.
fuck.
And poor Edge is like, I'm sexual and violent.
So next up we have Dean Ambrose versus Chris Jericho.
The Ambrose Asylum takes over.
So the match that they were trying to plan 8 months ago, and now we no longer care about.
So my gut instinct tells me Chris Jericho will job out to make Dean Ambrose look better, but
He didn't do that for Styles.
yeah, I was about to say he was supposed to do that for Styles, and he
Actually,
went over. Apparently,
He's there for a
because
while.
I
Jericho
heard
said he's sticking around. He's not.
there
going
was
back to
a
Aussie
couple people on
forever.
the internet that actually complained about that.
They're
feel
probably
like
keeping him
they
around
feel
for a
like
while
Chris
so
Jericho
he can-
should like made
So he
AJ
can help get more
better
people
by
over.
not jobbing to him.
Maybe. I know for a fact he said he wants to stick around longer this time.
That amazes me about AJ Styles. They're actually like acknowledging New Japan and like the other places he's been.
Everything but TNA. And remember that segment?
Oh yeah, another segment on the Edge and Christian show. Again, Edge and Christian show isn't great, but they usually have 1 or 2 good segments. The episode where they
It's kind of like early Chappelle show where a lot of like the skits were kind of hit or miss, but they had that one skit that would fucking kill it.
welcome to the internet. But yeah, it was what was the one with AJ? It's like, what will the WWE universe talk about with AJ Styles? And they like pull this little thing, and that thing will flash across the screen, and they go, the Bullet Club, and it's like the WWE will talk about it. And AJ's there like, yeah, that's great, that's great. So, and then they're like, okay, and now the promotion that AJ Styles worked for like the last decade was the face of, and probably made the biggest, most of his career out of being there. And
Act-
No,
and then they show Test and Albert. like,
TNA.
there for TNA.
Yeah.
Actually, I got the recent Dudley DVD, the straight out of Dudleyville. They actually talked about TNA. They mentioned it by name.
Wow.
Well, it's because like you couldn't explain away that like
Time
absence. Like they did enough in
Magician.
TNA, like they were there for long enough, and they had enough like accomplishments and achievements that you couldn't like not talk about it. It's not like on the CM Punk DVD where they kind of hand waved his time in TNA because he really didn't do much of
Yeah,
note
there's, like,
there.
he's from ROH, and then
I'm
that-
surprised
He
he,
didn't-
was
he
in
didn't-
TNA. That was
He
like-
was in TNA, but he didn't do a whole lot there. Like he was one of Raven's flunkies and then started feuding with Raven. But his feud with Raven in ROH was much longer and much better done. That no one really talks about, like his feud with Raven in TNA.
TNA, where you could go become a star and nobody cares.
JBL actually did mention TNA on his talk show.
Well, that's
Road
a talk
Dogg.
show, yeah.
No, it was on the WWE Network.
Oh, really?
Legends with JBL.
Wow.
I think they'll talk about TNA when they absolutely have to, but like I think they try to avoid it.
It's not like they're again. It's not like UFC. It's not real competition, but it's like, you know, it's like if they was more like a threat to them, maybe they'll talk about it more. But it's more like we're not gonna talk about it because they don't matter.
Who, like, there was someone who said something that rings very true. I think it was Vince Russo who said that, like, if you're on top, you don't even have to mention your competition. Don't even bother. But like when you're on the bottom, like you gotta like just like take swipes at your competition as much as you can.
Makes sense.
Oh no, that's been hit and miss. When it was in WWE, it somehow worked. When it was in WCW, it kind of failed. When it was in TNA, it failed even worse.
Because
BMK. remember
like
that?
everyone has said it a million times, but Vince Russo needs that filter because he has all sorts of crazy ideas, and you have to like
Yeah.
take the ones that are garbage and kick them to the side, and like
He's
take the ones that are
he's
good
George
and use
Lucas of wrestling. I always said that. But
I actually met Vince Russo. It was kind of wild.
well, Adam met him too, and he said he was a nice guy, and I
Well,
believe that too.
That was when I was working with Pro Wrestling Syndicate, and there was this wrestler called CPA, and he's a mark for a lot of weird shit. Like, one day I saw him, and he was wearing, like, a makeshift Steve Blackman t-shirt.
What?
Like, and like the one promoter for Pro Wrestling Syndicate, Eric Pleska, like was doing this convention, and he was bringing in Vince Russo as his guest. So we had CPA pick up Vince Russo, and CPA was like marking out about, like, yeah, I get to ride with Vince Russo. But CPA's car, like, it didn't, like, his defrosters were broken, and it was a rainy day, so like the windows were starting to fog up, and Vince Russo was like, I don't feel safe driving in this car. Pull over, drop me off at the gas station, and I'll have Sean Oliver from Kayfabe Commentaries pick me up.
Oh yeah.
Because they were like, apparently they were like splitting the bill with Russo. Like, Kayfabe Commentaries and Eric Pleska both paid half to bring him in, because I think Kayfabe Commentaries were doing some sort of like shoot DVD with.
Yeah, they do, like with Jim Cornette and all the guys.
Like CPA was fucking heartbroken about this shit, because like he's a mark for Russo, and like Russo was like, no, I don't feel safe in this car. Drop me off.
Damn.
So that's my little tangent about Russo. But anyway, go on about the payback card.
Oh yeah, that's right. We were talking about payback.
We get so fucking off topic here about, like, I fucking love it.
I think one of us got to be like a guidepost or like a.
I hope no children are listening, because I say the F word like every other word. Like it.
Here we go.
If you're
Intercontinental.
if you're letting your children listen to this, fuck you.
Intercontinental Championship match. Transitional champion The Miz versus future champion Cesaro. Who do you think is going to win, Mark?
I'm going to go for
Oh
Miz.
no, wasn't Zack Ryder the
Does it even matter at
Yeah,
that point?
Cesaro
No
was
one
not
goes anywhere with these intercontinental and U.S. titles. They just
been
kind of like
dying to
fester.
put a title on Cesaro for a long
They tried to build up the U.S. title with Cena, and that fucking
let's say
fizzled
you
out.
just went from pay-per-view to pay-per-view. You didn't watch the Raws, the SmackDowns, the NXTs, etc.
Like me.
And you just like look at this card, and you know, like the last pay-per-view was a 6-way Intercontinental ladder match, which Zack Ryder won. And now you go to this pay-per-view, and it's Miz and Cesaro. And like, what happened to Zack Ryder?
Okay,
I'm not going to let it go.
To be
I
fair,
miss
as an
Zack
independent wrestling fan, this card like makes me want to fucking jizz my pants.
Ryder. Well, yeah, Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens.
Zayn versus Owens, El
didn't-
Generico versus Steen. Like,
And didn't Owens coin the line in this? I think we're going to fight forever.
I didn't see it,
Someone
but
coined it really up this pay-per-view.
their destinies have been intertwined forever.
Well, I think they're friends in real life.
They are.
They came up in all the same promotions: IWS, Ring of Honor, ZZW, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. They've always kind of been there together. So like, it's fucking amazing that
Yeah,
they're in WWE like doing this again. It's fucking awesome.
This
Some
will be the
independent
match of the
guy
night.
actually made a video showing their feud from when they started on the independents all the way to now, and just like that transition of fight after. And actually, they did the ladder matches because they always have a ladder match.
Yeah,
So
like they did it in Ring of Honor. I think they might have did it in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla too. But I'm like, yeah, like their fucking careers are just intertwined. And it's fucking great. Like, it's great that we get to see these guys fucking wrestle for the WWE. Like, I was watching a old Ring of Honor DVD, and like, there were matches with El Generico and Kevin Steen on them, and I was watching them, and I'm like, wow, they came a long way. Like, because Steen used to be shit.
all right, I'll break in for a chat because we got someone new here.
Cool.
VK Val, I welcome you to the chat. The Heartbreak Kid, what's your thoughts? He's retired. Thank you. So,
What is there to say about him anymore? Like,
He's
like
a
he was
Hall
one
of
of the
Famer.
greatest of all time, but
He
he's
showed
not
up
doing
for WrestleMania,
anything
that was
relevant
awesome.
anymore.
Yeah.
If you count his hunting show, maybe.
Like, I'm never
Is
going to
this how
take
it sounds really
anything
good?
away from Shawn Michaels, but like, he's not doing anything of value to a wrestling
the
fan.
last interview he did, he said, I'm not really even interested in wrestling anymore. It's not what it used to be when I was a kid. It's not what it used to be when I was in the business. I'm not interested anymore.
Be honest
But
with us, VCal. Did Shawn Michaels break your heart?
I remember dating people, or not dating people. I remember knowing people in high school who actually seemed to have a major crush on Shawn Michaels. Anyone remember Elise? Not Elise. Alyssa. I remember something about like there
No,
was,
I don't.
Yes.
there was some sort of storyline with Shawn Michaels. If it's Shawn Michaels, I'm gonna kill myself or something like that.
Although there is something that Shawn Michaels said recently that I relate to. I got the Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart Greatest Rivalries DVD for cheap, and like he said that he had such a chip on his shoulder because like everyone was always like saying, "Aren't you a little small? Aren't you a little small?" And he's like, "Why should it matter? Like if I'm on a football team and I'm like rushing like 50 yard, like 100 yards a game, like why would you care like how big I am?" And he's like, it was never an issue when I came to the WWE.
Well,
like everywhere else I worked, they never said like, "Oh, you're too small, you're too small." They didn't say that into
if you're
the WWE.
smallest guy, usually you're the fastest guy. You're the running back or the wide receiver.
Well, that's kind of not the point I was trying to make. Like,
Well, I'm
like
just
I
saying,
relate to
size
that
is-
because like it just proves that WWE is so obsessed with size, and it really doesn't matter in the long term. In fact, like if you have a small guy, it's easier to book him as the underdog because. Like that's one of the reasons why a lot of people kind of rolled their eyes when Cena was booked as the as the underdog because it's like
Reigns was booked as the underdog.
he's clearly not the underdog. Like he's a fucking big dude.
Well, that was that great promo between
Huh?
CM
Our
Punk
viewers.
and John Cena, where it's like,
Because we
dude,
pretty much just like fucking like dismissed like Shawn Michaels. He was like, "What do you think about Shawn
You're
Michaels?"
not-
And we're like, "Fuck
Fuck
him."
Shawn Michaels.
you're not the Boston Red Sox.
You
You're
like
the
Shawn
Yankees.
Michaels? You
Fuck
just
that.
tune in to Raw every week. Got this guy named Dolph Ziggler. He's pretty much the same thing, just lighter hair.
Actually,
And loses a lot more.
Actually, Shawn Michaels actually did mention that he a lot of traits he's seeing in himself, and he says like, yeah, that's cool, but you need to do something else to break away from that.
That was a Steve Austin podcast. He was
Yeah.
like, I think he said he called him once and said, "Thanks for making people remember me."
Ah, Jesus.
Tyler Breeze is on
Sami
the
Zayn versus
Tyler
Kevin
Breeze
Owens.
We already
Yeah.
touched
Oh,
on
we
it.
did?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
must
we
have missed
did.
that.
And how fucking amazing it's
Alright,
gonna
We
be.
went on that forever.
Fine.
Where did you go?
It's just nothing but tangents. Like we're not gonna be wrapped up till 8
Women's
o'clock.
championship match. I don't care versus I don't care either.
Aw.
Thoughts?
You don't like
They're
AJ
both
Styles?
good wrestlers.
So who
Were
is
you
it?
seeing
No, no.
Styles?
We're talking about Charlotte versus Natalia.
Oh,
What to say?
They're both good wrestlers.
I'm
but-
actually intrigued by the storyline they have going on. Like they have like famous relative versus famous
Oh,
relative
Hart
in the
versus
corner.
Flair type of thing.
Well, also like Hart and Flair have legitimate heat against each other, so like I'm kind of interested in this.
Apparently, Natalia on SmackDown said something about Bret Hart being better than Ric Flair, and Ric Flair said a comment around the lines of "Go kill yourself."
Yeah, like
Did that make it on the TV?
no,
I don't
they
know.
edited that out.
like Ric Flair like stated in his book that oh, Bret Hart was never over, he was never the guy, and like Bret Hart like took snipes back at Flair. So like I'm kind of interested just because like there's like legitimate real life heat. Like that's something that wrestling needs to do more. They need to kind of bleed real life into the storylines to make things more interesting.
This is me personally. I always like Bret over Ric Flair. Well, Ric Flair has the flair and all that kind of stuff. Bret Hart was always like,
It's hard for
he was a technical.
Did you really just say Ric Flair?
not
has the flair?
intentionally.
Fuck you.
Miserable old man Flair.
Because I know how to
Bret
work the
doesn't-
mic, motherfucker.
Is this where the mic drop happens?
Yes, it
Don't you
did.
dare drop that fucking mic.
You said they were cheap anyway.
Verbal mic drop.
Yeah, but with my money, not your money.
Brett doesn't even want to be on this card.
It's interesting. It adds another dynamic to the match.
Why is Bret Hart on this card?
Bret
Because it
Hart's
adds
not-
another dynamic to this match.
He says he's only doing this for Natalia.
Wait, is Brett actually going to be at Payback?
Yeah, he's in
Oh,
her
wow, I didn't
corner.
know that.
He
I
does.
He's
like I
in
said, I
Natalia's
really
corner.
watched
Oh yeah,
so
because he
much.
just came back from surgery, so it would be like a great comeback for him. Get like a good pop.
He doesn't want to be there.
I think Bret. Yeah, whatever. Bret Hart is like.
He
I haven't liked Bret Hart.
he's kind of
since
the
I was a kid.
crotchety
Starting
old
to
man
He's
that
more
kind
of a
of
crotchety
whines
old man
about
than
shit.
Ric Flair is.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it. Like he's always fucking whining about shit, but then
Yeah,
when they're ready to hand him a
yeah,
paycheck,
Adam
he's like,
Cole-
"Oh, I love the WWE."
Yeah, Adam
Be like
po-
Ric Flair, drunk and
yeah,
wild.
Adam posted something on our Facebook
broke
where
within a
Bret Hart was like,
Hey
you
man,
know,
that alimony's a bitch.
It was shit on Triple
four
H.
alimonies
He was shit on Triple H, like, yeah, this crap. Like, dude, he's not in charge of it. It's Vince McMahon. You have you seen NXT, man? Like, what the hell? I like Bret Hart, but like, have you taken your old man pills lately?
I don't like
Old
Bret.
man pills.
Even when he was younger, like 15 years ago when I first started watching wrestling, he was bitching and moaning about it. I got in around 97, 98, and that's when he was as bitchiest about, like, wrestling shouldn't be this.
Well,
Wrestling
after,
shouldn't-
you gotta
Shut the
admit,
fuck
this
up.
came
You realize
after
we're
the
doing
whole
the same
screw
thing right
job
now, talking
thing.
about wrestling, saying it should be this and not that.
Well, you gotta
The
remember, this was, like,
irony.
right after the whole screw job thing, so that did
Fan,
kind of
he
affect
can do
that kind of
He's
affect
actually
him a
in
little
the
bit.
business.
I guess Goldberg kicked
Well,
him in
that
the head
seemed to
too
be
hard.
a big thing. Like, a lot of guys in the business, like, hate when other guys in the business just bitch and moan about the current product.
Especially when you are, like, the number one guy, or at least, even at that
You
point,
think
the
you're the
number
number
2
one
or
guy.
3 guy. You're still, like, at the top, and the other guys are still trying to
Like,
crawl ahead.
like for longest time, his two biggest beef was Shawn Michaels, which he squashed, a little bit Vince McMahon, then her happened, and then the other one was Hulk Hogan.
He still hasn't forgiven Hogan.
Hulk Hogan! I'd say Hulk Hogan doesn't care, but Hulk Hogan's fell so much from grace that I think he's
Not really. He just won a $115 million lawsuit.
Gawker.
Like, he fell from grace and
Yeah.
climbed back up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's see if he gets that money.
He's the richest porn star
Gawker
ever.
They
is
might
like
chop
the
off
internet
10%,
version of
but he's gonna
TMZ.
get a
I
large
kind
show,
of glad that he stuck it to them.
The best porn star payday.
When
ever.
you're awarded punitive damages, that means the judge looked over and said, "You did something really, really bad. Like you went above and beyond the call of bad. You're gonna pay extra."
Like, you just
Gawker
went
is
straight
worse.
into fucked up.
Gawker
Once
is
Gawker started joking about child pornography, that's it. It was over.
yeah.
Oh, Gawker.
You fucked yourselves, bro.
Pretty much.
Okay, well,
Hogan fucked himself, and then
yeah.
Gawker
when
fucked
when
himself.
TMZ
All right.
think you're fucked
We gotta
up,
get
we
back
know
on
you're
topic
fucked.
here
This-
so we can wrap this shit
Yeah.
up.
This isn't even a match, but it's considered a main part of the show. A promo is considered a main part of the show. McMahon will announce who controls Raw at WWE Payback.
Which McMahon?
Either
I think it's
it
Shane.
says Mr. McMahon, so it'll be either Shane or Stephanie.
I say Shane will run Raw and Steph will run SmackDown.
It's going to be incredibly disappointing. It's going to feel like something
me,
we've
guys,
gone
for a
through
second.
a
I gotta
million
say
fucking
something.
times.
I want to say something. Obviously, they want.
I like that. Let
They
me try
want to do a
that.
brand thing, and the problem is they unify the title. I say if you're going to do the whole brand thing again, and you're going to keep the main title, unified, but get another title, get a TV network title, or get like
The U.S. Intercontinental title. Put
Honestly,
one on one show, put the other on the other.
Here's the
show.
thing. They have done the authority figure as part of storylines to fucking death. I'm tired of the evil authority figure. I'm tired of the
because
silly
Vince
authority
McMahon
figure.
was-
I'm tired of authority
They're
figures.
doing it
Like,
because
it's
there's no real
God.
bad guys to carry the flag of, hey, look at me.
Because they won't let anyone get over. Like, they won't let anyone be a bad guy. Like, they keep fucking chopping people's nuts off, like,
Well,
at every
and
given point.
We've reached the point.
Get
in the
Dana
day
White to be
where
the
there
bad
aren't
guy.
Camps. It isn't like UFC where it's like it's this camp of a fighter and this camp of a fighter. You can't put a manager in there and say, "Well, this manager is really controlling everything." Everyone knows the WWE controls everything.
Yeah.
So, hey Patrick, they should get Dana White from UFC to be like the next heel. Like,
But we'll go around. So Shane or Stephanie?
Shane, of course.
Shane or Stephanie?
Shane O'Mac.
Shane or Matt? Shane or Stephanie?
Bullet to the fucking face.
Bullet to the head. Shane or Stephanie?
I'm shocked. I want to go last because I want to see if you have the same thoughts I have.
I don't. Okay, bullet to the head. So what's your thought?
Really? I'm shocked I'm the only person who sees what's coming.
Okay, you've been pretty good about your predictions, man. So what's up?
It's Mr. Vincent Kennedy McMahon. He's going to come out and say,
He's
Stephanie.
in charge.
Yes, exactly. Stephanie, you had your chance. You not only lost the title, but fucked up everything. And Shane O'Mac is literally walking all over you, but I don't trust him, so fuck both of you. I'm in charge.
Same thing we fucking
They're
done
gonna
with
stretch
for the past
this out
20
another
fucking years.
6 months, whether you like it or not.
So what?
If
Is he
I
gonna
was
do
in
like at Raw 1000 where he made AJ Lee the fucking general?
It's gonna be
manager?
evil
Vince
Mr.
is gonna be in
McMahon
charge for
over
at
and
least another
over and
3 to
over
6
again.
months.
I'll be one of those crazy fans that jump out of the fucking barricade, go in the ring, give him the middle finger and say, "Rip up my ticket. I'm done." And
Like
I'm
I
going
said,
walking away.
bullet to the
No, you're
fucking
not.
head.
You're tackled and brought out and pressed on charges. That's it.
I will risk it. I will risk it.
Whatever happened to that guy that randomly entered? What match was
I
it? He
think he got-
randomly like stopped Cena, and everyone was like, "What the
Man
fuck
from
was
all
that?"
future
Cena-
events.
But there was another one who got really charges pressed against him. It was the match with the Wyatt family versus the partial Shield with Chris Jericho.
No, that
But
was
before Chris Jericho gets in the ring, someone else runs
In
in
the ring.
and then he gets tackled.
no,
thrown
there
out,
was
and
a
then-
guy who was like an indie wrestler who like came in and like stopped Cena, and like everyone thought it was gonna be like a big storyline, and then it was just kind of like hand waved away.
I don't know.
This was like years ago, like back in 2010 or something.
But
like that.
Yeah.
anyone who does any of that stuff now is now being prosecuted to full extent by WWE
For
Well,
criminal
if you ever
fucking
listen-
for
charges,
criminal
Well,
charges.
for stopping a wrestling match.
Yes,
Well, you better let
because they don't want. They have like a
insurance, all that kind
Well,
of stuff.
5 figures worth of people in every building. They don't want people doing that.
Well, it's also like you're kind of derailing their shit. You're
Yeah,
derailing the show.
Yeah.
By doing that.
And Chris Jericho made this point. He's old school. If a guy comes in the ring,
You punch him in the fucking face.
Yeah, he get fucked up.
So I think, as policy goes, you get punched in the face and you get charged.
Next will be machine guns.
All right, so we're on to the last one.
What, the
which
Motor
is, of
City
course-
machine guns?
Who gives a shit?
Someone turns heel. Damn it.
Roman
On this
Reigns
podcast?
versus AJ Styles. Either one of them will, or this is going to be Finn.
I think
Balor's
I've already turned heel on this podcast.
Balor
I
Club
stopped being
forms.
entertaining like an hour ago, and now I'm just like fucking.
You turned into
annoying.
Jerry Lawler.
turn your heel along with your ankle.
All right. I'm not against the Baller or Bullet or whatever the fuck they want to call themselves club, but question is, who's going to lead it? Is it Roman Reigns turning magically heel, or is it AJ Styles?
Finn Balor himself.
I thought he was injured.
No, he's not.
No, he's not?
He was the NXT champion.
Oh, okay. Oh, really?
And then he recently lost it to Samoa Joe.
At a house show.
So your vote, you think a third party is going to interfere and cost them both the match?
He was the founder and original leader of the Bullet Club.
I don't know this. I barely have time to watch or read up on WWE as it is, much less.
Damn it, you should watch some
You
NXT.
work like 15 jobs.
Yes.
So,
FedEx, your regular job, your house cleaning, this and that.
okay, so does anyone care? Did anyone want anything else? Because I don't give a shit.
I'm just excited at the prospect of the match. I think if anyone can have a solid, good match with Roman Reigns, it's going to be AJ Styles. Like
He's gonna work his ass off.
he's fucking good. Like
But man, is that finish going to be disappointing when it's not clean? Because there's one thing we can
I'm
guarantee
the
for this
type of
match.
person
it's
that
not
I
gonna
just
end
want to
clean,
see a good match. Like if it's a
Yeah.
good match, I'll forgive the ending, even if it's shitty.
even if it's not clean.
Well, here's the thing. I don't really give a fuck. Like, I'm going to watch this match and then not watch the WWE for another, like, month or two.
All right.
I'll just watch my old Ring of Honor tapes like a fucking indie fag.
an indie fan.
Okay. All right, so it's around 7:15 here. We've been going for a little over 2.25 hours. So
3.5.
I'll be surprised if anyone will have the patience to listen to this shit. I
Probably
probably won't even have the patience to
You'd be
listen to this
surprised.
shit.
You should put like
I didn't even check the
was it
views
like
for the
bullet
last one.
points, even though it's all over the place. Like, oh, we talk about this topic or this.
To be
topic.
fair, this was a lot of fun just randomly talking and drinking. Like,
This is why I do the Not Me gaming channel with sometimes Manny, sometimes James, sometimes Rob. Because I don't care if people watch it. It's just fun.
it's just fun to do. Like, just the prospect that, like, you have viewers and there's people who may listen to this make it fun.
Yeah.
That was the same way it was when I was doing wrestling. Just the prospect that, like, I'm in front of fans and people may watch this and enjoy this just made it, like, fun.
like I said before, I think we'll definitely do more of these. I want to do another one next week, though. I think, Pat, you said you're unsure yet if you can.
I'm
do that
doing
one.
Free Comic Book Day.
Oh yeah.
Well, how long does Free Comic Book take?
Usually
Dude, I'm
that's
going to,
all
like,
day.
12 fucking stores.
No, you go in the store and
Yo,
try
I'm
and
trying
get
to
all
get
the free
Sandman
comics.
Mystery Theater back issues. This is, like, a good excuse to do this. Like, I need to
to
catch
own
up
or
on my
to
fu-
read?
I want to read them.
Okay, there's this thing called the laptop. If you own one, they're typically $100 to $200.
Mark,
I can.
Dude, I
tablet.
looked up on it, like, in order to buy all the back issues on fucking, like, Google,
You can't
on
see what I'm
fucking...
doing. Well, you can, but the viewer can't. Buying
Mark.
Fuck that shit. I'm old school, man.
Hey, Mark. The
I buy
Stan
shit
Lee-
for real.
Yeah, you could get stuff on the internet, but just like boobs, you want the thing in your hands.
I'm not gonna
That would have been a better line if you fucking like put some oomph into it.
You're on camera, dude.
Yeah, motherfucker, show some pride.
I'm saying that, yeah, you could get the shit on the internet,
Hey, look,
but you
we
want
got, we
that
got
shit
the black
in your hands
guy.
like a
We got the
boob.
You
white
said you want
guy.
to grope a bitch.
We got the bearded guy. We got the off-camera most.
We
of
got
the
the
time
other
guy.
bearded guy.
Camera guy. We got the cat. Only thing we're missing are bitches.
Well,
Look at us, like
you know what?
none
It
of
does-
us are getting the bitches.
When we
Speak
when
for
we're-
yourself.
Okay, I would love to get some females onto the podcast. When we have a podcast and we're calling them bitches, it's a little harder. Next week if schedules work out, Kristen, I don't know if she wants to
To
refer to
be
herself
fair,
as,
if we
but
got women on the podcast, it would be the same thing with our
As I'm pointing
viewers.
out,
They would
I'm
like
trying
fucking
to-
get scared away. They would get scared away just like our fucking viewers. Like they're gonna be like, "Oh, this is cool," and then they're gonna be like, "Ah, this is kind of creepy. I'm gonna leave."
well, I was just about to point
See,
out
man,
that
thanks.
I was just about to point out that we actually do have a woman scheduled to come onto the podcast next week. But
We have
as
a
she
woman
li-
scheduled to come.
Yeah.
Oh,
He paid her in advance.
and now she's probably not.
Thanks a
Thank
lot,
you very
man.
much.
Thanks
Thanks
a
a lot, Patrick.
All in a day's work. All in a day's work. Anyways, let's wrap
I'm
this
sorry.
shit
We
up.
should start a second podcast and just call it "We Hate Our Viewers" podcast, and just make fun of everyone who enters right off the
Can we
bat.
call this "We Hate Our Viewers" and then have a little parentheses and ourselves parentheses?
No, seriously, we should.
Mostly ourselves.
Let's try a 15-minute sub channel. Call it "We Hate Our Viewers." You come here.
we
will-
don't have
We'll probably
viewers.
get more fucking viewers that way. We will probably get more viewers.
We had the sheep
And
guy.
then we scared him off. We had him and
How did we manage
I
to
got an
scare the
idea.
sheep guy off? He was scary.
Let's be likable enough to get viewers, and then when we have too many,
And then we'll scare them off.
entertain the
Coming
idea
dicks.
of having a "We Hate Our Viewers."
We scared off a
Right
sheep
now,
guy who
I'd
was
rather
scary.
have viewers.
Pal, we gotta do like a wrestling promo.
Did we have-
gotta
We
do
are our
heels,
viewers.
Then we gotta get people to come to us. Then we can be likable.
fuck this shit, man. I'm just gonna go all out, balls to the wall from the beginning. Like,
No, we
fuck
don't
you
want
if
your
you're
balls
listening
out.
to this.
Pat,
fuck
we don't
you.
want your balls
If
out.
this was WWE,
I want my
you'd
balls
be
out.
fired.
That's what's important.
If this was
Not on
WWE,
my
you'd be
property,
fired.
boy.
Control yourself there, Tater.
All right,
Get
all right,
off
all
my
right.
plane.
Taking back control here. Taking back control. All right, so we're
Roll,
closing
fight
up
power.
here.
Never close
Again,
up.
I'm Video Geek. Video.
Oh,
Geek.
he's video games.
I hate you all. You're all fired.
You're not even fucking paying me. Like, we get paid for this shit?
I'll tell you what. I'll hire you back, triple your pay, and you're fired again. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Video Geek JT. Along with me is
Not me.
Patrick, the fucking angry drunk.
I'll go with Adam C, and I'm probably the only sane one in this podcast.
Tell
Wait,
yourself.
I'm gonna go up top again, even though we're closing up. So you're no longer Chris Diamond, named after the porn star.
He
you, Chris.
He's not even promoting EWE
Rob,
at
for
all.
reminding
Chris
us.
No,
Diamond.
but he called himself Chris Diamond.
Yeah, I
last time,
heard.
and then we had
I heard the
someone come in.
beginning of
Chris
it.
Diamond is retiring in June. In case
Okay,
you
I'm sorry. I
forgot.
just had to point it out. And-
By retiring, you mean killing yourself, right?
That's a form of retirement.
And Stephen B,
how I plan
the
on
knowledgeable
retiring.
one.
All right. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today. Again, we'll be back next week, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Check us out on twitch.tv at Video Geek JT. And there'll be a replay of this podcast on jerseycowboy.net for youtube.com. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We'll catch you next time.
Save
Not
that
me
time,
gaming
save
on
that time.
YouTube.
Just put it on Facebook.
I'm gonna put it on our Facebook and my Facebook.
That was
page.
great. That was terrible, but it was the greatest. That was the greatest stream ever done.
For five guys.